just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
We'll return after these messages.
Stop doing those diet or workout fads to lose weight. Use the tried and true approach from Rockin' That Ideal Life that helps you find balance while enjoying food in moderation and nourishing your body. Try the Lean 30 program at rockinthatIdealLife.com and let today be your last first day of your weight loss journey.
When buying or selling your home, you need to feel protected. Realtor Mike Burgoyne not only looks out for your interests, but as a St. Louis area police officer will make sure you feel safe and well-informed with every decision. Email Mike at strikewithmike.com and start the process today. That's Mike at strikewithmike.com.
Welcome to episode 10 of season 13. This is episode number 441, all time of the often imitated, never duplicated Bob Barker to remind you to help to control the pet population, have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Let's Go Blues Radio. Special thanks to our sponsors, rockinthatIdealLife.com and Realtor Mike Burgoyne for once again proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at letsgoblues.com for the very best St. Louis Blues themed t-shirts at an unbelievably fair price. It is Wednesday, December 13th. And we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on social media, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I'm Kurt Price, and my co-hosts for the big show tonight are Bill Day and Jeff Ponder. And the agenda for tonight includes discussion of boots. Nothing really. Just the surprising firing of Blues head coach Craig Berube, former head coach, I guess. We'll talk about the events leading up to the firing, the past few games. Also, Vrana gets waived, then not waived, then waived. Bortuzzo gets traded to the Islanders, which seems like forever ago. Perron gets suspended 6 games for an incident on the ice. We'll talk a little bit about that. Kelly Chase has leukemia, so it'll touch up. He was on the jumbotron the other night, so we'll talk about that. And Brady Tkachuk wants to fight a goalie. All that and more on this edition of Let's Go Blues Radio. Gentlemen, it has been a very active last, what's it been, like 22 hours? Something like that?
Yeah, that seems about right.
The Blues all-time team we did over the summer is now dated, kind of. I mean, I think people would still vote Berube in as the head coach. But, I mean, still, it's weird to think that, we sung his praises. And I remember on that show even talking about how, we'll see if he reaches Joel Quenneville for number 1 in wins all time. Not going to happen.
Not this time around, at least.
Right. Anyway, that's all we have to say about that. Let's move on to something else. You say Brady Tkachuk was wanting to find a goalie, huh?
Fight a goalie. Yeah,
let's get him and Binnington together.
Yeah, right. The 2 willing guys, or him and Fleury.
Fleury
said he wants to fight somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, before we get in the show, we can do our little spiel here. I will be on announcements. I'll be on the Randy Molman show, I believe. He asked me to come on. I said yes. I haven't heard back. I assume he still wants me on. In the morning, I can get you that. I don't have that link in front of me. But it's the Mole Hole. You can search for it on 97.1, I think it is, radio online. I think it's going to be 8:30. I'll be on AM.
Let's see. Mole
Talking
Hole
Blues
Radio with Randy Molman. That is not a link. 8 to 9. Oh my goodness. Just give me the.
Yeah, there's
92.9.
92.9
in the St. Louis area. Yes. And then there's a link for the website, which you can listen, stream anywhere. We will have to post that on Twitter because I am not going to look for it right now.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Obviously, a lot of blues talk. A lot of. It's rare when blues talk dominates sports talk radio all day long, and it kind of did today. So, and it's going to dominate the show tonight. Well, one specific topic, I think.
Right, Jacob Vrana getting waived.
Right? Can you believe it?
Yeah, crazy.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
The official beers of episode number 441. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is CPrice12. Jeff's is JPonder94. Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33.
I think with a coaching change, we might want to change it up.
Oh,
right.
We'll go.
I'm fine with that.
You guys flip flop if you want. I'll go last. I'm gonna.
You know what we've never done is have the person running point lead it off.
All right, we'll get me out of the way.
Start trying that. Let's do it.
All right. My beverage of the show is not a beer. With all this going on, I haven't had time. I got a beer behind me, but if I get to it, I get to it. I'll announce it later if I do. But right now, I'm having a Dairy Queen frozen hot chocolate. You guys ever have one of these things?
Ooh, that is
a frozen
really
hot chocolate.
Yes,
unbelievable. It's one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth.
Oh, I can think of something else.
One of the best. It's chocolatey. It's hot chocolatey. It's frozen though, so it's quite good. If you have not had Dairy Queen's frozen hot chocolate, it's like drinking a brownie. It's really good. Here we go.
Sounds like fried ice cream. It doesn't seem like it should go together.
Yeah, right. It does.
It's really good.
Yeah, or any of those frozen coffee drinks or whatever.
And you're right, because you think like, well, wait, it's not really hot chocolate. It's just a chocolate flavor. But when you have it, you're like, this does taste like hot chocolate. It's just not hot.
Right. It's delicious, and it's richer. It's rich and strong and good. So give it a go.
Let's go ahead and go on to Bill. I'll go last.
All right. I don't have anything as contradictory as frozen hot chocolate, but I do have I don't have the bottle. It's Highball Drifter. So it's an homage to a cocktail. I've had it before. Last of the bottles that I've got, it's from Founders, one of the barrel aged series last year. Very good. If you like a good highball, it's got the orange peel flavor going on. I was in the mood for a mixed drink, but I haven't got to the point that I'm ready to start drinking mixed drinks on this show when we talk so much about beer. So that's I feel like that's like me crossing the Rubicon when I get to that point.
Maybe next week. We did that a couple years ago where we got together for our Christmas show and we started doing shots of whiskey, I think, and we all felt pretty good after that. So maybe next week will be a good time for that if you guys have the time.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that. Or if we do a show this year, the week after Christmas, I think we'll all be off work.
Oh, you're off?
I am taking that week off. Whether or not I will check into work, it's a different story. But
we are all three off that week. I agree. Let's do it that week. Week between Christmas and New Year's. Let's get together and we'll bring a bottle of whiskey and we'll have a good night. 4-hour show, folks.
Yeah, like Drunk History, like the drunk hockey show we did that time.
Yeah,
yep.
that was the best.
That was fun.
Yep. Well, mentioned last week by Bill Day, and I said I was going to go get some on Friday, and I did. The best holiday drink, and luckily my taste buds have not changed. The Nutcracker from Boulevard. Best Christmas beer there is. Not a fan of the Shiner anymore. I finished off that. Well, I had one more of the 6-pack, and then I told my wife to finish the rest. Just for whatever reason, I don't like that anymore. Sorry, Shiner. You make great beer. But Boulevard is where it's at for holiday beer.
That may be depending on how the show is going. And, I'm probably going to need another. So,
I got another ready.
Yeah, I will run downstairs and grab another.
I have not had this yet.
Oh, the Parker Pills.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Parker Pilsner from Four Hands for, I believe it's made for Ray Parker Jr., right? Creator of the Ghostbusters theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who get a call?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
No, for Tim Parker from City, of course.
So Dan Riley, I happened to pop on Twitter, and Dan Riley replied to the stream on Twitter and says he'll provide some bourbon samples for our show next week.
Oh, that'd be great. If he's serious, he's walking distance in my house.
Good old Dan Riley. Yeah.
And
big Blues fan on Twitter.
And he's got an amazing bourbon collection. So let's do it.
Did I know this? I want to say I've heard this before, that he has
he's posted
Okay.
some stuff. Like he's
That's what
got every one of the Blanton tops, which, that's a feat in and of itself. So
how lucky am I that I am in walking distance of Mr. STL Blues history and Dan Riley of my house?
Well,
I picked a good spot to live.
Everybody's within walking distance if you got the time.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot to mention that Dan Riley is actually a 2-day walk for me. No,
well, you walk really slow too.
I do. That's true.
You're a mosier.
Fun Dan Riley story as well. He plays drums at his local church, which is awesome. I've heard he's great. He posted a picture, and I looked and I'm like, that's my coworker. I literally have one coworker in all of St. Louis. Everyone else, it's a global company. And the one person that I work with that lives in St. Louis, she is the lead singer of their band. And I'm like, what a small freaking world. How crazy is that?
Well, I guess we should rip the Band-Aid off and get into it. After the Blues 6-4 loss to Detroit last night, Doug Armstrong announced the firing of head coach Craig Berube. What were you guys doing? Were you still awake when this happened?
I was laying in bed. I was not asleep.
But I was online. I was doing some Christmas shopping, and I had Twitter open, and I didn't see it at first. I was like just busy, browsing Amazon and whatnot. And about 20 minutes after it happened, I just happened to see something. And I was like, "Is somebody? What happened? Who got fired? Oh no!" And I'll be damned.
Yeah, this guy that I work with, I think he's a Red Wings fan. He play hockey with. Posted a picture in our team chat of him. I guess he met Patrick Kane at the game last night, which, by the way, the picture, Kane literally is looking into the camera like this. And I'm like, you couldn't smile, jackass? Like, come on. But anyway, so, yeah, and then he posted, like, right after he sent that picture, I heard it said Berube just got canned. And then, like, I just heard the phone just starts going nuts. And I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on here? And so I look and I'm like, no. And then my phone blew up in other group chats. And then my Twitter started blowing up. I'm like, oh boy. All right. So it's time I got to get up and at least look through what people are saying. So I stayed up a little later than I was planning.
So in true boring fashion, I was already asleep. But I will tell you, when I picked up my phone this morning, the first thought before I turned the screen on was, I wonder if they fired Berube last night. It's like, I don't know. St. Louis Blues fans divined that into my consciousness, I guess, as I slept. Yeah, so
probably.
I was not surprised when that was the first notification that popped.
I was.
There are, I was too, but the tons of varying opinions on social media, and we'll kind of talk about some of those too. But so the Springfield Thunderbirds head coach Drew Bannister is now been named the interim head coach for the Blues. Bannister will travel to St. Louis on Wednesday, which is today, and serve his first game behind the bench tomorrow against the Ottawa Senators at Enterprise Center. Bannister's 49, spent the last 3 seasons as Springfield's coach, going 93, 58, 19. He guided the Blues AHL affiliate to consecutive Calder Cup playoff appearances, including in 2021-22 when it reached the Calder Cup final.
Real quick, just on this. So first of all, Armstrong in his presser today did say that this is a true interim situation. But
he said that, and then he said later that he's a candidate because it's wide open. Do you hear that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's going to said both things.
Yeah.
I think
but
he's
so are you, Kurt. You're a candidate as well.
Yeah.
Well, I basically think that it's him just saying, like, hey, if you coach well, we're going to keep you around, just like we did Berube. But I think he fully knows, like, I need to go get somebody else. And maybe Bannister does step in and does a great job. But I thought it was interesting that he specifically called it out that Bannister is a true interim. Yeah. Whereas I think with Berube last time that happened, I think it really was like Berube's an interim for the rest of the season, then we'll look for someone. It sounds like he's already begun the search for another head coach.
Did you see what Andy Strickland posted? The 1-letter tweet he tweeted?
No. I'm so if that happens, it's going to be really difficult for me.
Did you? So you saw it? You saw what he posted?
Yeah, I saw it. Oh yeah.
He just tweeted out the letter Q.
I'm sorry. My favorite when we talk about Blues coaches, he is my second favorite Blues coach of all time. But because of what he did in Chicago, if they hire him, it will be very difficult for me to. And I know that we've seen that take a lot. Well, I'm done with the Blues. I'm not watching. It will be hard for me to still comment on this team with any kind of zest and excitement.
What you're saying is you'd be as much a part of this show if Q is hired as Austin is right now.
Yes, I'd be the Austin Lynch 2. I'd be the sequel.
Berube was in his 6th season as Blues head coach and was behind the bench for their 4th straight loss, the 6-4 loss to the Red Wings on Tuesday. St. Louis is now 13-14-1, 6th in the Central Division, and ranks 26th in the NHL in goals per game, 2.82. Berube, who was 57, replaced Mike Yeo as head coach in November of 2018 and guided the Blues to their only Stanley Cup championship in 2019 and was 206, 131, and 44 as Blues head coach.
Let's pause there for a second. First of all, I don't know. I know some fans were clamoring for this and excited about this, but I think even those fans, there's a little bit of sadness because he was the coach that brought the Blues a Stanley Cup. So, Kurt, lift your hot chocolate, iced hot chocolate. Bill, beer, to the first and only St. Louis Blues coach to bring a Stanley Cup to St. Louis. Thanks for all you did, buddy, and cheers.
Cheers, Berube. So there was a press conference today. And Armstrong talked at length. It was about half an hour. Answered a bunch of questions. And to his credit, Armstrong's credit, he didn't dodge. The only question he dodged was his conversation with Stillman. He really didn't go into detail with anything from Stillman about their timeline and what was discussed, stuff like that. So did you see some of the online polls? That people were doing, like everybody and their sister was doing online polls.
Armstrong.
Well, it was. Do you like the mood? Do you like the firing or not? And everyone's like 95%. No, they didn't like it. It's weird. It's always interesting when the fan base and the media are so lopsided on anything. It's very telling that just very few people. I mean, I think people come out and said, I understand, why he was fired. But I don't think there are a lot of people out there. There are some, I'm sure, that say, I'm glad he was fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'll say, listen, we'll get into the roster construction, whose fault is this season, all that, I'm sure. But the first thing that I want to say about this is if you would have told me that on December 12th, the Blues were 1 game under 500, 12-13-1, 1 point out of a playoff spot, and they fired Craig Berube, I'd call you a fucking jackass. Because I'd be like, absolutely not. That team is clearly exceeding expectations if they're that close to a playoff spot. So for me, I do look at it and I say, okay, Armstrong, you literally came out and said earlier before the season started, at best, we're a third-place team in the Central. And we're fucking 1 point out of a wild card spot in December, and you're Cannon, the coach? I mean, there was other things I want to get to with this, but that to me was why I was shocked. And I'll say, Chris Kerber was on the Riz Show today, and Armstrong did say in his presser today as well, something along these lines, that he said that basically it's the way they've gotten here. And actually, I've actually said that on the show. Like, whenever we talk about like 4 games, I'm like, yeah, that's the record I expected them to have after these 4 games. It's just not how I planned on them getting there. And I think that's what Kerber was saying, and Armstrong kind of said it too. The fact that, they're 12, 13, and 1, but they lost to San Jose, they lost to Chicago, they lost to Columbus. Yes, they've beaten Tampa,
Colorado.
and they've beaten Colorado and Vegas, but those losses to terrible teams, that I think is where Armstrong was looking and saying, okay, that's a problem.
See, here's the deal though. So I totally on board with being confused about the firing, because this team is about where Armstrong expected them to be. So I'm wondering where Armstrong thinks this team should be. I mean, he kind of went over that a little bit in the press conference where, he goes, it's not so much the results, it's the way we're playing. And I'm like, yeah, but the way we play dictates the result. It's going to determine the result typically. He mentioned a few of the wins we didn't feel good about because we didn't play well in the wins, but there were some wins we played really well in, and there were some losses we played awful in against some bad teams. And I think, remember how we were feeling after beating Vegas? We were a few games over 500. We're playing pretty good. We're like, hey, this, the defense is better. The power play sucks ass, but still we're shooting the puck and we're getting, the offense is getting enough done to, and we're feeling pretty good. And then 4 games later, Berube's fired. I think, looking 4 games ago, Armstrong had to have been fairly happy with the team's record. I think he'd be very happy with the team's record based on where he thought the team would be. But then so the stretch of 4 games determines Berube's fate. I know that they were against, the second Vegas game was Vegas. That's not a disgrace to lose against them, even though we look bad. But the last 3 were kind of bad. Even though Detroit's playing, their record's pretty good.
But they had lost 3 in a row.
They had lost 3 in a row. I know. But we didn't look good in those 3 games against teams we should have beaten. Columbus, Chicago, absolutely should have beat those teams. It's a very small sample size of playing really bad hockey. Now, they were inconsistent up until these last 4 games. They'd win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, win a couple, lose 1. But it's got to be, a combination of a few things. Kairu's not getting production out of Kairu makes Armstrong look stupid with his 8 years, because he's getting roasted by fans on Twitter. The 8 years, $8 million per, Kairu is not what he is expected to be. And I keep telling people, he's like 24 games into the season now? 26? What is it? 28?
28.
Okay, 28 games in. He's 28 games into his new contract, his 8-year contract. He's underperforming offensively, and that turnover against Detroit to seal the deal was god awful, which we'll talk about. But does anybody not think his offense is going to come around? I think it'll come around.
So
I think it will.
I think it will, but I think the issue is, and again, I've said this at least a couple times on this show, I like his game better this year than last year, because I feel like he is actually trying to work on all aspects of his game. But, and Armstrong said it today in his presser, you're paying him to create offense.
Right.
And we said it last week. If he would have had, let's just say he has 13 goals at this point, let's say 15 goals on the season, that's probably 2 or 3 more wins that the Blues have. And they're probably solidly, at least in a wild card spot. So, for me, it's like he's playing better, but you really need to see that next drive out of him. And he's, again, kind of quoting Armstrong here. He said that, like, he knows there's a next level for Kairu. He's just not there. And he had a horrendous start to last year and then picked it up about this time. But yeah, we're still just not seeing any signs of that.
Yeah,
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Nicely done. Nicely done. I cede my time to the 10 p.m. announcement.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Oh my God, let the man talk.
I'll always cede my time to Cyndi Lauper.
All right,
So-
go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. I'm not going to start talking because you're going to do it again.
I've got those are the only two I have.
Let's see Kurt's hands. Put your hands up. There you go.
So,
Oh my God, you dick.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Was it Austin? Oh,
Austin,
you
you're
Austin,
fired.
boy.
Bill is
I didn't
he
do
is
that.
gonna destroy you, son.
you're fired. You're so
All right, seriously, let him talk now, please.
I don't even know what I was going to say now.
Let's just
I
wrap
hear
up the
Craig
show.
Berube's free. Let's the Blues should hire him. No.
We're talking about Cairo. Does that help?
Yeah, no, I don't think that, obviously Kairu's the pariah as far as the team goes, right? Vrana wasn't clicking, and he was never going to be a Berube guy, and he was his play in the defensive zone, just he was never going to stick with this team. He's gone. That Berube's whipping boy was gone, but Kairu's the guy that really could have made the entire difference for this team. Power play goals. Expect Kairu to have a couple. The whole power play, I think, is really, even though, as Armstrong said today, it's Steve Ott is the guy that runs the power play, but I think Berube's ultimately paying the price for the power play being so historically bad, right? They just are so ineffective with such high quality, top, the top offensive players we have. We just couldn't get anything going. And I think the combination of team being super inconsistent, win a few, lose a few, and like you said, Jeff, I think it was after that West Coast road trip where, we're like, we didn't expect it to get the points in the games that we got the points, right? Yeah. We didn't expect to drop them to San Jose and, gain the points where we did, but the team's been completely frustrating. And I kind of had the sense all season that Berube didn't have the attention of Kairu and of Thomas, and that's who they're trying to build around. Thomas is the one guy that's been consistent on this team.
Yep.
And I think that there's been overemphasis on, especially on the DN. I felt like last night that players were really looking tired, which you don't want to look tired, in a game where the opponent's coming off back-to-back with travel. But Parayko looked really tired to me. I think, that the minutes might be catching up to him. It just felt like the time was right for this to happen. I think Armstrong's looking at, we're not to the halfway point. We're not to Christmas yet. If there's a time to salvage the season, it's now. We can't wait until January to make a move. And I think I was not surprised when I woke up this morning and saw the news. 6 years is a long time for a head coach to be around somewhere.
It should be noted too that on the power, you mentioned the power play bill, that Brad Richards was brought in to as a few days ago, actually,
right.
As a consultant to just post, after games, the next day, kind of evaluate the power play and touch base with Ott on some things. So maybe he'll have some ideas to fix the power play, which is historically bad. Really, really bad. I've never seen a Blues power play look this bad for this long. It's been really
as
bad.
I said to Bill, isn't it crazy they're not last in the entire NHL, and somehow it's Pittsburgh that's worse than them?
That was Washington. I thought it was Washington. It was last night. It was Washington.
I thought it was Pittsburgh, but maybe you're right.
Last night it was Washington. Maybe it changed with the games last night.
I don't know. Are you looking? Because I won't look as well. Okay, go ahead and look. So talk about last night. I just want to mention real quick with the power play. Last night I thought was a prime example of how bad this power play is. So the Blues had 3 power plays in this one, went 0 for 3. First power play, about 2 minutes in, they had some momentum in the offensive zone, and Gostabert got the
It is Washington. Pittsburgh's 27.
That's just as great with Alex Ovechkin taking bombs like he does.
He's showing his age this year. They're 8.2% and Blues are 8.4. They are neck and neck.
Yeah, they are
8.4.
Not where you want to be.
You want to be over 20.
Yeah,
and
they're not even close.
Oh,
they literally last night, because of their shorthanded goal, Scandella's beauty shorthanded goal. They have more shorthanded goals than power play goals.
8 versus 7. Yeah, and how about that goal, man? Scandella and. If you guys picked up on Jamie Rivers, what he says when someone puts it top shelf, have you noticed this?
He's been mixing it up.
He said a few times. He said where it puts it upstairs where you hide the good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of the expensive liqueur. Liquor.
Right.
Yeah, I have noticed that he's been throwing out different things, right?
Right. He has changed it up. Yeah, he's going Mike Lang.
Yeah.
Not quite that crazy.
Which is good. I'll give the man props. I've been very happy with him. I was afraid that it was just going to be very robotic, but he's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy with Rivers. He's done good.
Well, anyway, so the power plays last night. So Gosper gets that penalty. Blues do not capitalize. And again, they do score the first goal of the game. But still, that was a 0-0 early on. Take the momentum away from Detroit. You could have had a 1-0 lead. Second power play, first period again. It was late in the period, 17-19. At this point, it was 2-1 Detroit, so they'd already come back and taken the lead. That was when Sherrod high-sticked Sundqvist in front of Husso. Blues could not capitalize. That would have been a huge power play to score a goal on and tie the game going into the second period. Again, Blues do come back with Kevin Hayes scoring 2 goals there, which was nice at the start of the second. But to leave the period again at least a tie would have been really nice coming out of intermission. And then, of course, the third period. They had that at 16:35. It was 5-4 Detroit. Andrew Kopp held Hayes, and the Blues were pressuring. So they get a chance late to tie. And again, not to dog a guy who is now officially gone from the team, but I did not like pulling the goalie there to make it 6-on-4. I get it. I get that you're like, we've got to pull him so we can get another man out there.
With 30 seconds left,
power play is garbage. Absolute garbage.
To me, that's why you do it, to go 6-on-4, to do something different.
I'm sorry. I wait until the power play is over, then I pull the goalie.
The definition, there was only a minute and a half left at that point, right?
I know. So you pull him with a minute and a half left.
No, is that nowadays? That's late.
I don't care about what it is nowadays. It ain't working for the Blues.
Well, but the power play as it stands is never scoring goals. So I think that's the definition of insanity. Let's just keep doing the same thing. If you got an opportunity to go 6-on-4 for 30 seconds, I thought that was I personally
that much time left. I don't.
30 seconds. I with a minute and a half in the game. No, I would do it. I was
with this power play.
That's why I would do it with this power play,
because
the power play is terrible.
Control the puck. If they control the puck,
6-on-4
with you.
But they can't do it 5-on-4.
They have no puck control. If they have puck control, but they're just not scoring, I'm all for it. But how many times do they fucking turn the puck over?
Well,
it didn't burn them though.
It did burn them.
How did it not burn them? No, okay. What I'm saying is that they pulled the goalie with like a minute and a half to go, and to get a 6-on-4. I think every team in the league does that. I think every single one.
I agree, but when you're the Blues, I don't.
So you would just do the same power play. You would just roll that same losing power play out there, and then not take advantage of an opportunity to do something differently.
After the power play's over, if you can strike, then you have basically another power play.
You have a minute then. You have a minute then. That's only a minute.
You can score a goal in a minute. You can score a goal in a second.
I know you can, but that's statistically, scientifically,
I don't care about statistics. Statistically, the Blues' power play has given up almost as many goals as they've scored. So why give them the empty net?
Because you do something different, because the power play does not work. So we just, okay, if we can go 6-on-4, let's change it up. We'll go 6-on-4. We'll get an extra guy out there that might help with possession. And if not for a brain fart on the boards where Kyrou didn't know what to do with the puck and lost it on his own, he lost it on his own. It wasn't like he was like, it wasn't a puck battle. They called it a puck battle. They lost. He didn't lose a puck battle. He cut back and lost the puck.
Well, then maybe the fault is putting Kyrou on the power play again.
That's
right?
that.
Would you agree with that?
I would side with that, as because I think I said online, I'm like, I was not really in favor of changing the responsibilities for Kyrou up until last game. I was like, you know what, you gotta just do something different for a while with him. Take him off the power play, cut his ice time, move him down the lineup a little bit, just do something different to maybe get him some other looks against other defenses. I don't know, but I would have not been against sitting him on the power play. He's not scoring or as much as he should anyway. He's a threat. He's always a threat. He gets tons of chances, but he ain't doing it. And his I don't know what you call it on the boards. I don't know what he was doing. He just held on to it too long, made a cutback, lost the puck, and it's poked away, and they scored. It's like, Jesus. It wasn't even a puck battle. They called it a puck battle. It wasn't a puck battle. He just lost it.
No, it wasn't a puck. He just lost it. Yeah,
he lost it.
There was one point where he broke away, and the guy, was it Veleno, wasn't even on him. Like, he had time to just dump it down where I think Shen was waiting in the corner and no one on him, but he held on to the puck. So what are you fucking doing, man?
He could have went point too. He had point.
Do you know where he ranks in terms of forwards time on ice for the Blues?
Kyrou?
Yeah.
Number one? No, number one. Number one. He's got to be what, third? Number one forward?
Bill, what do you say?
I'm gonna give Kurt 4 more guesses before I weigh in.
Well, he doesn't log as much time as a defenseman.
1, 2.
He said
I'm saying forward.
Oh, it's a forward.
The
top forward, yeah.
I would say he is number 4.
He is number 3.
Okay.
Bill or Kurt, one of your 5 guesses was right. He is 1804, which to me is ridiculous. The guy has 5 goals. He has 5 goals, and you're playing him third most. He's basically getting top line minutes still for the Blues. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry, Berube. I'm sad you're gone, but that is a bad call, and I hope Bannister makes a huge change there. Again, not hating Kyrou like a lot of the fan base is right now, but he should not be getting top 3 minutes.
Yeah. So on this whole thing, I think Kurt is. I'm going to side with Kurt on, and this coming from the goalie who doesn't want to ever get pulled. I absolutely hated every time I had to get pulled, right? But in this case, you're doing it for the statistical, the probability advantage, right? 6-on-4. But I think what happened on the ice was that the Red Wings, they capitalized on a guy they knew that they could get a turnover from. And, they're going to allow the puck to go to Kyrou and let him fuck it up, right? He right now is a turnover machine along the boards. Pressure him and he's going to turn it over, whether it's in his own zone or the other zone. If he's skating with speed through the neutral zone, probably going to make a play. But if you make him try to make a play along the boards, he's going to turn the puck over. The Red Wings capitalized on that. I thought it was dogged determination by Joe Veleno to get that and force the turnover, right?
Agreed.
He made Kyrou make a mistake, and he did. And then, they got out hustled down the ice, and it's awful. I don't think you can put Kyrou in that position for a couple of games, right? You've got to limit his ability. I think teams are keying in on that. They know that right now he is playing with bad puck control, whether it's confidence, whatever. I think teams can take advantage of that, and I think we saw that with the Red Wings last night.
I like the fact that he's still shooting, and we said this before, that he leads the team in shots. It's by a wide margin. It's not even close. But and I've said I think he needs to shoot even more. He passes up a ton of chances. He's always got the puck. I mean, at least he always gets touches, and I just feel like he might have the best shot on the team when he hits the net, but it's just like he passes up too many chances. I mean, you're not a passer. Don't try and be a passer. If you've got a shot, if you've got a lane, take it. If you don't have a lane, take it. It might go off somebody and in. I don't like him trying to make the perfect play when your offense is struggling, when your power play is struggling, when you're struggling. Put the fucking thing on net. You get if it's on your stick and you're inside the hash marks or even at the top of the circle, shoot it. Put it on net. Look for a rebound. Look for a deflection. Anything.
Right. So go back to the Buffalo game when he had 2 beautiful assists in that game, right? And that's kind of like the wrong feedback we want to get from him, right? He completely undressed the Buffalo defense, took 3 guys out, and was able to put the puck back across to a wide open Neighbors, right? I think it was Neighbors that tucked that goal in. That Kyrou, like he has that ability, but then he's going to look to do that from there on out rather than shooting. But to your point, he is shooting, and we want him to keep doing that. Just don't pass the fucking puck to him along the boards. Just don't put him in that position. And I think teams are going to allow him to be open because they know that they can get a turnover. You've got to start playing away from that.
We've got to take commercial, boys.
Yes, I agree. We'll get more into this on the other side of this break. You're listening to Kurt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
We've all tried a diet or workout fad at one time or another, but it always ends the same, right? We either lose the weight and then get back to our routine, but then put the weight right back on, or it just simply never takes hold. It's time to move into a habit-based program that focuses on organization and simplicity. Rock and That Idea Life's Lean 30 lays it all out for you with the correct food to eat, how to meal prep, and even sprinkles in plenty of healthy recipes. With Lean 30, you'll get the full ID Life arsenal, including energy for that needed kick, a tasty Nourish shake for your needed fiber intake, Slim Plus to help control your cravings and provide a metabolic boost, Lean capsules help bust those sugar cravings, and ID Nutrition gives you the added punch you need that takes the guesswork out of what supplements to take. Join the many who are seeing success and make this your first day on a new program. Visit rockandthatidealife.com to get started, and remember to email Dustin at rockandthatidealife@gmail.com for an extra 10% off exclusively for Let's Go Blues Radio listeners. Start your transformation to the confident, vibrant person you've always wanted to be with rockandthatidealife.com.
St. Louis hockey fans know how it takes a reliable captain and a team of hard workers to achieve major goals. As a police officer and a hockey player, realtor Mike Burgoyne would wear the C in any situation. As a leader in the home buying or selling process, Mike has surrounded himself with a team of trustworthy inspectors, lenders, and escrow officers that work together more cohesively than Hall & Oates. And as a member of many teams in his life, Mike knows the service our first responders, veterans, nurses, teachers, and yes, even you Let's Go Blues Radio listeners provide the community, so he offers special rates to those individuals. Find the value in Mike's leadership and teamwork today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or calling 314-753-4060. He'll work closely with you and only show you the homes that match your goals. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com or call him at 314-753-4060 and succeed with your new teammate today.
Honey, where's the spatula?
Okay, kids, let's go. There's just one place to go for all your spatula needs. Spatula City! Spatula City! A giant warehouse of spatulas for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And because we eliminate the middleman, we can sell all our spatulas factory direct to you. Where do you go when you want to buy name brand spatulas at a fraction of retail cost? Spatula City! Spatula City! And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 spatulas, get the 10th one for just 1 penny. Don't forget, they make great Christmas presents. And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula? Spatula City! Spatula City!
Hello, this is Cy Greenbloom, president of Spatula City. I like their spatulas so much, I bought the company.
Spatula City, 7 locations. We're in the yellow pages under spatulas.
My, where did you get that lovely spatula?
Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
I love that Spatula City commercial so much. There needs to, some of these shops that specialize in like one specific thing, like those popcorn shops or something, they need to like take that theme and just roll with it.
That's a good idea. I'm trying to think of what else there is out there. Sauce on the side. They could do it with
sauce on the side.
Yeah, there you go. They do it with calzones.
All right. So there was a press conference today. Doug Armstrong talked to the press for about a half an hour. He did say that he takes full responsibility and hopes that those he talked to takes responsibility, which I found that phrasing interesting. I'm like, I wonder who else he talked to that he felt should take responsibility, and besides Berube. Probably some players. I'm sure he talked to the team. And so I'm wondering if he talked with some players individually. So if I was in the media, I would have wanted a follow-up question on that answer. Who did you also talk to? And, as far as Kyrou, for example, I'm, whatever. Players that needed to take responsibility was interesting.
Who do you talk to if you're him?
The player, the team.
Shen? Yeah, I guess Shen. Maybe the alternate captains. Maybe some of your young guys.
I say you address Shen. You talk to Shen, the alternates, and then maybe have the team as a whole have a meeting. I don't know. That's what I would do. I wouldn't put that on Shen to have a meeting to tell the team that. I would. And I would hope that Armstrong had some choice words for the team. And I think he did. He kind of implied that was the case, that there was somebody said that was the case. There were some things said to the team that, as far as, it was, who said it? If you don't like it, it was Bennington, who was interviewed and said that, if guys aren't, I thought this was fantastic. I don't know if you heard Bennington quoted on this, but he's a guy that I don't think anybody can argue. He wants to win. He leaves it on the ice. He's given his all. He's one of the players that you can tell do that. And he said that basically what was said is that if you're not going to, your time in the NHL is limited. It's a privilege to play in the NHL, and your time in the NHL is limited. You give it everything you've got, and if you don't, get out. We don't want you here.
That's almost exactly what he said.
Yeah. And I was like, that is brilliant. It's so simplistic but it's truthful and it's honest, and it's good. It needs to be said, and to remind guys that, hey, this is a fucking privilege to play in the NHL. If you're not going to bust your ass and leave it all on the ice, if you come off the ice thinking after a game, I could have played harder. Why is that? Why didn't you play harder? So, and if players are going to have that attitude where they maybe could have played harder but didn't, Benton was like, "Get out. We don't want you here." And that's fantastic.
It's ridiculous to do this, but this is kind of what we do on the show. Relate these NHL moments to us playing beer league and high school and college, because that's the farthest we ever got. But I will say, like, there are literally times where I'll be having an off game, even now, 38 years old, playing beer league pickup hockey, basically. And there's times where I say, man, I'm having a bad game and I'm just not in it today. And then I'll get to the bench and I'm just thinking, my time playing hockey, and you guys can definitely relate to this, it's very limited. There's going to be a day where I never play another hockey game again. And it's like, if I'm going to play now, I need to get my ass out there and give it everything I got and skate as hard as I can. And that, again, is just a beer league guy saying that. To me, like, yeah, if you're in the NHL, you've got a very small window to make money, to make a name for yourself, and to be relevant in this game. And I don't know, you got to wonder who Binnington's really talking about. I know everyone's going to say Kyrou, but it's not just Kyrou. He said some things last year before the Blues made all those trades, something about along the lines of, this is the NHL, let's effing go. Like, yeah, you could tell when someone's dogging it, Binnington's the guy that's going to notice, and he's going to be pissed. Right, Bill? I mean, Bill, you can speak to that. You watch these guys from your crease. You can tell that guy's not giving me anything tonight. I'd like to see him bench, because what's the point of even playing him if he's not going to skate his hardest?
Yeah, especially on the defensive end of things. I've I had choice words for some of my defensemen over the years, but yeah, Binnington is what I liked about the Binnington interview is, to me it shows the fire but composure, right? Before this year, we would never have used the word composure with Jordan Binnington, but he's showing some maturation, and I like that about him. I think it's probably shots across the bow for guys like, well, I mean, Vrana's already gone, but I think that's a guy that, right, when last year he was having his success here, it was what a great trade by Army, or what a great waiver pick by him. Give him a second chance, bring him in, and he's a guy that last year it looked like he was taking it, and this year it was just like, I'm not going to play the defensive side of the game again. And so I think probably some Binnington's words were rooted in that. But also, I do think, I think it's right that there's a lot of shade being thrown Kyrou's way at this point, because he isn't scoring, he isn't earning the contract, right? I get Kurt's point that he is trying to improve his game on both sides of the puck, but at this point, let's focus on scoring. We need you to score, and if
you can do both, That's the whole point, right? I mean,
right?
He's signed to be a producer offensively, but he needs to be responsible defensively. So
right.
You can do both. The great players do both.
And I think that was the hope after because he had a terrible, very, very beginning to the season, and then when he finally scored, it was after he made a good defensive zone play, got the puck up the ice, and then followed it up to get a great pass from Thomas to score. I forget what game that was, but that was like, okay, maybe he's finally figured it out, and he just hasn't.
And again, he's
looking beer.
That is.
That's the Parker Pilsner. That is a good looking beer. Sorry, totally interrupting.
And again, Kyrou's getting his chances. He's I think a lot of I think the play last night where he lost the puck, I think that could be just accepted as, oh God, that sucks. If he had 12, 15 goals this season, like he should have almost, it's an execution thing, which is hardly a Berube problem. Berube, tries to put players. His job is to put players in the best position for them to succeed individually and as a team. So, and I think he's done that with Kyrou. He's worked with him and he's made him be more responsible in his own zone, which he's done much better with this year. And he's still getting chances offensively. He's just not finishing. It's like you can't, Berube can't go out there and make him finish these chances. You gotta think that the chances are going to start going in for him with the amount of chances he's getting. It's almost like they say Kyrou is one of the reasons why Berube got fired, which I understand production wise, but man, he's getting the chances. And Berube, I don't know what else Berube could have done with Kyrou. I mean, he's improved his overall play, but his offense has suffered this season. His production has suffered this season, but he's still getting the chance. It'd be different if he wasn't getting chances, wasn't getting shots, wasn't involved in the play offensively. That's not the case. He is very involved offensively, but he's just not getting results and on his shots and opportunities, which I don't know what else Berube could have done with Kyrou to help him actually put the puck in the net, aside from just giving the chances and putting him on lines, matchups where he can be given the best opportunity, and he's getting chances. He's just not putting it in. So I don't know what else Berube could do as far as Kyrou is concerned.
I don't know. There's a lot of players on this team. Well, and that's the thing that's kind of interesting, right? Is there's a lot of players on this team that I think are underperforming. Kyrou comes to mind. Vrana, obviously. I think early on, we all thought he was kind of a scapegoat.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And I thought we all thought he was kind of a scapegoat for Berube to say, yeah, the Vrana, he took that bad penalty against Winnipeg, and then he had a turnover, and it was like, what is he doing that Kyrou isn't doing every night? And again, I don't mean to just dog on Kyrou, but it's true. I think as the season's progressed, I have definitely seen what Berube was thinking with Vrana. Have you guys? I don't remember what it was. I mentioned it. He came back into the lineup in one game, and every pass was 10 feet in front of someone. He wasn't moving his feet. And I was like, oh, now I'm seeing what Berube was seeing. And again, that's why we always say these head coaches know more about, they've forgotten more about hockey than we know. Because he probably saw that kind of play starting to come out of him. And it's like, I don't want to see where this goes. I'm going to try and sit him and stop that now.
When Hugh McGing was brought up and was put on a line with Vrana, did you see what Kyrou said about that? Not Kyrou, Korak. Sorry, Luke Korak.
No.
He was like, well, you put a player, a new player, on a line with a player who doesn't want to be here. What do you expect? If the line wasn't very productive, even though McGing had some chances. It's like,
say Vrana was -2 that game.
Yeah. He was very critical of Vrana at that point, as far as like just not, he doesn't want to be here.
Yeah.
So that
McGing, I thought that the Chicago game, McGing, like he just kept crashing the slot.
Yeah.
And I thought he was probably the best Blues forward in most of that game. But yeah, I wasn't surprised that Vrana went. Was waived. It just
we'll talk about him more later, but I have to wonder if they think, okay, maybe we move the head coach, he goes down to Springfield, gets some time in the AHL. Maybe later in the season, if he's not traded, maybe they bring him back up and give him another shot with a new head coach.
I'm sure they'll bring him back up at some point to try and hopefully he'll,
Interesting who they called up in his place, right?
Oh, McEachern.
A Berube player in Mackenzie McEachern.
I mean, McEachern does not excite me whatsoever. I'm done with McEachern.
I was really hoping just to see what it would do. Bring up a Dean or a Bolduc.
Right.
Yeah.
What is
just to see?
What does Bolduc got to do to prove Kurt wrong?
Right.
So far, I'm right.
Well, that's why they haven't called him up. They're like, well, did you hear what Kurt Price said on Let's Go Blues Radio? That guy's got to like score 100 goals in the AHL for us to call him up.
He's going to have, no more than like, what did I say, 38 games with the Blues?
Yeah,
that's it.
Something like that.
Yeah. No, I didn't see the news about McEachern getting called up, but why the hell not just bring back Chris Porter at this point, right?
My point on it is Adam Gaudette is having a ridiculous year. Let's reward that guy.
Yeah.
Bring him up. McEachern is fine, whatever. But the problem is, what you're getting in McEachern, and you probably know what you're getting in Gaudette. But I'm wondering if a Gaudette is like a Nathan Walker when he was first called up. Remember how he went on a scoring tear?
Yeah.
You never know what this Gaudette guy could do. He hasn't played as a Blues. He only played as a Maple
Bring
Leaf.
up Gaudette, put him on the power play. Why not?
Yeah, and Ken Morris, I'm with you on that too. He says, I take Nathan Walker over Mackenzie McEachern. I
would too.
I don't hate McEachern, don't get me wrong, but I don't truly understand if this team needs scoring, you're bringing up Mackenzie McEachern.
I just don't care about him.
Nathan Walker at least has good hands to score around the net.
Yeah, I think the conversation probably won't like, okay, we need to call somebody up now. Man, I wish we had another Oscar Sundquist. Who do we got down there? Oh, McEachern. He's cut from the same cloth as Oscar Sundquist.
Do you think they asked Bannister, hey, who would you prefer to call up?
Right.
Maybe he said McEachern.
Well, I'm sure he had input, right? I mean, I'm
sure.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
I don't know. Like after listening to that presser, there were a couple of things that I'm like, that's an interesting way of going about it. Like announcing during the presser that the guys that Chris Thorburn and Glenn Wesley and Dave Alexander are now going to be spending some time behind the Blues bench this season, right? Oh, and they're just finding out about it. Like he actually said, and they're finding out about this right now. Like that was just weird.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of and something I brought up on Twitter, and I fully 100% believe in this. I don't, and this okay, right here. This is my biggest problem with the Berube firing. It's the fact that you went in this summer and you said, Berube's our guy. Let's fire the assistants and bring in guys. And Berube was part of that process to find assistants in Mike Weber and Michael Babcock and said, these are the guys I want as my assistants behind the bench. Yeah. Okay, great. We'll get them in. Let's hire them. Cool. 28 games in, you're firing that head coach and you're bringing in somebody else who has to now learn that these are my assistants. And I'm not saying this is the first time they've met, but clearly this is the first time coaching a team together. That just seems odd because and again, I know Bannister is your interim head coach, but when you bring in a new head coach, he wants to hire his own assistants.
Well, I understand it from because the assistants are here and familiar with the team already. It'd be, you know what I mean? I get that. They already have familiarity and as opposed to Bannister bringing his own, like a whole new crew right off the bat. I guess I understand it'd be an easier transition for Bannister, maybe, because he's not, the players are already familiar with the assistants, the assistant coaches. I don't know. It would be interesting to overhaul the entire thing, but I don't think.
I'm not saying you do that because you just hired those assistants. That would be really shitty to do that to Weber and Babcock.
Especially when Weber's done a good job.
It's odd. It's odd to me that you hire assistants under Berube, and then after 28 games, you get rid of Berube and you say, here's this new guy. It just feels so backwards on how you should operate a team.
Well, I mean, okay, I know. Are we... Where do we fall on the spectrum of was this a just firing? I know Bill said he was not surprised. Are you on board with the firing, or do you think do you question the timing? Or are you on board with it? Are you against it? Or what's your thoughts?
No, I think it's just firing.
Just firing.
I think so. Just there is a chance to salvage the season. You can't if you wait till after the new year, after Christmas, to make it. That's too late. 6 years is a long time, and the voice grows stale.
Do you feel that the Blues should be better than they are right now?
At this point in the season, yes. I think.
Okay.
How
much better?
2 weeks ago, I said I was surprised at how well the Blues were playing to the expectations that we had last year. Right. Last year they totally underachieved. This year, I thought we were seeing a team that, if we had a modicum of defense last year, we would have seen better results, and I think that's what we were seeing. But the power play, the completely ineffective power play, is the stain on this tape that we just can't look past.
So we talked last year about the defense being god awful and the Achilles heel of that team. So if the power play is the Achilles heel of this team, why not fire Steve Ott?
Right.
Why not bring in another assistant coach for that?
Can I add a caveat to that?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why Steve Ott was not named head coach?
Yes.
Interim head coach.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know. If he's responsible for the power play and it is historically bad, why would he be named the head coach? Now I could see him. I could see him being named the head coach if they had another guy lined up that they figured would be here in a week or two. I can see him just taking over for a couple weeks and then going back to an assistant coach. I can see that happening, but I can't see him taking over for maybe a month or two or however long until they get a new coach in here.
Let's say the Blues are middle of the pack. Clearly, this firing probably doesn't happen, but let's just say, for shits and giggles, the Blues are middle of the pack power play. Berube still gets fired. Like, they're a 15th ranked power play. Do you think the reins are handed over to Steve Ott, and with the thought of your interim until the end of the season, unless you sputter and we'll hire someone else?
I think there's a better probability of that happening, but it's not 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Armstrong in the press conference.
Well, hang on. You did ask both of
right.
us if we felt this was a just firing. It's such a weird question to answer because, you look back at the history of Blues firings and even Doug Armstrong's coach firings. Davis Payne.
We were kind of against at first, right?
We were, because I thought you could give this guy another chance. I thought, for those that may not remember, or maybe weren't fans back then. Right. No, he had one full season. He was the only here for one full season. He was brought in. He was midway of 1 year. Then he had one full year, and that one full year, every single Blue that you expected to produce had at least some type of injury for at least 5 or 6 games. That was the year. Matt D'Agostini, who was a name that came up today. Matt D'Agostini went off and had like 15 or 20 goals or whatever it was. And the Blues just missed the playoffs. And it was, okay, next year you're going to have some healthy players. Let's see what they do. Was it 9 games in when they fired Davis Payne and brought in Hitchcock? We were against that. We said, what the hell? Give this guy a chance. Obviously, Hitchcock worked out for a while. By the time he was fired, I was like, yes, this is time. He should have been fired a year ago. Mike Yeo, I was not on board with at all the entire time he was here. So I look at that and I say, it's hard
plan
to
in
compare
history.
that. Yes.
We've hired your replacement. Make him good.
Yeah, that's hard to compare because, like I said, that was the one time in Blues history. Even Mike Kitchen doesn't rank with this. That was the one time in Blues history I said, this is the wrong hiring, and I know I'm going to be right. And I was. But this one, I don't know, man. It's so weird. It's a hard question to answer because I like Berube. I thought I do agree with the section of the fan base that is saying this is bullshit. It's the roster construction. It's also the roster. Why fire the coach when he's not the problem? Part of me honestly does see that. It's just one, this is professional sports. It is always easier to fire the coach than fire the players or even the GM, especially midseason. But I do think it's just for me. If you had any inkling going into this season that I might fire Berube, barring, of course, like a 14-game losing streak or something, but the fact that they're 1 point out of a wild card spot, I do think that I thought he'd get a much bigger leash, a longer leash. I'm just like, if you thought there was a chance I'm going to fire him early, barring a crazy losing streak, you do it over the summer. You get somebody else in here to implement their plan in training camp. And then if you're going full rebuild or retool or whatever, you get a guy ready for that. To me, I actually, in the vote of confidence is something that coaches hate because Armstrong came out and said Berube's absolutely safe. That's never true. They're always gone within a year after a GM says that. But to me, I actually believed Armstrong because I'm like, he's going through this whole retool thing and he's going to keep Berube as the head coach.
Well,
man, I just think if you're going to do it, you got to do it over the summer.
Well,
like, I don't think you gave him a long enough leash if you're going to let him start the year.
I don't like the firing. I don't think it was just firing. I understand. I say that knowing full well this team has issues. The power play is awful. There are players that are underproducing. However, based on the expectations of Armstrong and Stillman, both before the season started, this team is in that middle third, and they are 1 point out of a playoff spot. So they are competing with the upper middle third, which is right where Armstrong wanted them to be. And he hoped they would be, and they're right there. He also said during the press conference that it wasn't about wins and losses, it was the way they were losing some of these games.
I see that.
So, and I get that. I understand that. But, based on the roster construction, you're going to have that's the way this team is going to play. They're going to have some good games, some bad games. They're going to be inconsistent. If they were consistent, they'd be in the upper third of the league and they'd be a better team. I'm not, saying this team isn't playing as well as he wants them to, like in certain aspects. I'm like, okay, but that's what makes them a middle third team. That's what keeps them out of the upper third. So it's almost like there's more to this than what is being said. As far as, it's, and he said, I don't know if he's just saying the right things, but he said Berube is too good of a coach to not be coaching in this league, and he'll coach somewhere fairly quickly, he thinks. Which, I think he should still be here. I think other changes could have been made. You could have fired Steve Ott. You could have, which I think is absolutely something you should do. If you're going to fire the head coach, and one of the reasons is a god-awful power play, why is the power play coach still here?
Well, that and the fact that he also fired 2 other coaches this summer.
Right.
It's clear he has no problem firing assistant coaches.
Right. So I'm like,
Steve Ott has the goods on him.
I said that when he was playing.
My dog.
I'm like, clearly Steve Ott has something on Doug Armstrong because he should not be playing.
Yeah. So a couple of things I want to address. Winning Unlimited in the chat says, why didn't Brad Richards just accept a role for power play coach? Why just a consultant? I think the answer is he'd have to move here from Tampa.
Yeah. Man, my dog has gas. This is bad. I thought, did he just shit all over the floor? I'm looking around. I'm like, no, it's not there. It's just gas. Oh my God. Jesus.
Yeah, we had that with our dog recently. It's not fun. It's the worst.
Oh man, it's like there's a big pile of it right here.
It's the holiday season. I want to get you a gift, Dad.
God.
Yep, that's right.
This is all I could afford.
Yeah. So
no, well, and I think also it wasn't. I don't. There's not a lot of power play coach positions out there. Because that's not all Steve Ott does.
No.
Steve Ott does a lot more than just as a power play coach. I think again, you mentioned living in Tampa. That is probably part of it, honestly. I think the other part of it is why he's not taking a power play coach job in the NHL is he's probably making buku bucks just telling teams what's wrong with their power play.
Right.
Why would you not want to do that?
And this is a nice thing to try. I'm all on board with trying something different when the power play has been as bad as it has been all season long. It's not like we were really good for a while and then just tail off. No, it's been shit from the start. How long did it take us to get a power play goal? How many games? It was a lot.
I really hate to act like Mr. Know-It-All here, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Never
to me, I think
before.
I think the first thing Brad Richards says is, why is everyone standing still?
Yeah.
Nobody is moving their feet on the power play. I'm not saying you have to like cycle all 5 guys around the net, but like you watch that power play and it's just Krug over to Kyrou, back to Krug, back to Thomas on the sidewall, behind the net to Buchnevich. And it's like, none of these guys are moving. They're just standing there. You're not going to create anything when you're just standing still.
You can you as a puck carrier, you dish the puck off and then you move. Right?
Yep.
You move to get open.
Yeah,
you're creating lanes. You want that defensive box to move and shift. And so you're moving the puck around to hopefully, and you can find a lane to shoot or to pass or to find a back door or something. Because if you're standing still the whole time, you're making it really easy on that defensive box. Just stay where they are and just kind of just play a small zone kind of thing.
What I know this is like elite, like elitist of the elite, but like I look back at the days of Pronger and McInnes, and like the way they would cycle with guys like Turgeon and Kachuk. Well, Kachuk usually stayed in front of the net, but like Young or whoever, they would like the way they would always find a way, like, because, teams would try to like stop them from shifting too much, but they always would seem to find a way to get McInnes on the left boards and Pronger on the right. So Pronger could dish him a one-time pass and he could just fucking bomb it. Like, the fact that they could work that, they found ways of working that in their power play every time they had one, was just like, watch that tape and tell me that you can't find, just keep your eye on Al McInnes, keep your eye on Pierre Turgeon, Thomas, your Turgeon, Pareko, your McInnes, whatever it is. Like, there needs to be more movement. There is just not any movement right now.
Okay, let's get back to the press conference. Armstrong said, if I get fired tomorrow, I don't feel like I left this team any better than in 2008 when I was hired. And that's an awful feeling. I don't understand this comment whatsoever.
Yeah,
because, do your accomplishments between then and now, like, are they mean nothing? Because during his tenure here, the Blues, up until the last couple of years, had like the most points in the Western Conference during his tenure here. And
I think
if he said, if you were to get fired tomorrow, well, GMs don't typically get fired when they're on a high. They typically get fired when things are going poorly. So, and if they take over when things are going poorly, hopefully you take over when it's poor, then you have these seasons of high, and then, oh my gosh, okay, it went down again, and that's when you get fired. Well, of course, nobody gets fired when you're doing well as far as the GM goes. I mean,
I get what he's saying,
though,
in a certain aspect. I think he's thinking more, oh my God, I don't know how to say it, like 2D, like two-dimensional. I think he's basically saying if you take that 2008 team and you put them up against the 2023 team, they would end up in a tie, go to a shootout.
But again, you take over a team that's not playing particularly well because a new GM, right? New situation because you're taking over. The other GM is being replaced because they weren't playing very well. And if you're going to get replaced years down the road, that's because the team's not playing very well. So obviously, you're going to come into a situation at a low and probably leave it a low. So of course, those two teams might not be that different in terms of skill, but the years in between. I mean, you won a fucking Stanley Cup here. You had years of success and really, really good teams. I don't understand this team is not any better than when I took over. But that's weird to say to me. What about all those years in between were like big deal?
So to me, it actually kind of reassures me that he has still got the fire and the passion. He's not saying, "What do you want from me? I won you a goddamn Stanley Cup."
Okay, I'll get that.
Right?
That's
he's coming out and he's saying that the team that we've got out there now is not good. When I came in here, my goal was to bring this team to another level and to keep it there, and we've slid. He didn't even acknowledge the Stanley Cup win, so we'll have to do that for him. He won a Stanley Cup, but they have slid so far back that they've regressed, and he feels like he's had really, he's not going to give himself credit for the Stanley Cup, and he's got work to do, and he is doing it. So I respect that. I like that, but he made some gambles that we're paying for, right? With not, that the whole Pietrangelo decision. Julie and I have this conversation, basically once a week. She's still stuck on, and that it's he's dismantled the team. It's like, no, teams change, right? It's salary cap era. Teams are going to change, right? The Pietrangelo decision was the start, and the decisions in between on defense specifically haven't worked out the greatest, right? We have cap certainty with the amount that we're paying those guys, but last year was such an aberration, and felt just wrong with paying so many defensemen $6.5 million to be one of the worst defenses in the league. I get it, right? He's not trying to rest on his laurels, and he still wants to have a legacy that, and I think every professional wants this, right? You left the organization a better place, and he can't say that that's where it is if he gets fired. And I think he's probably got that fear in him, right? That
I think a little bit of it might be lip service too. Like, I'm not saying it all is. I'm just saying part of it is. Imagine if he came out and said, "I've accomplished so much here in St. Louis. We won a Stanley Cup. I feel like I can ride off into the sunset and feel good about myself." Like, you can't say that kind of stuff.
He can say we've accomplished a whole lot here and rattle off a bunch of accomplishments, but then say we've gotten away from that. We need to get back there. And he said in the press conference that he thinks he knows he's the right guy to fix this situation. I'm not sure exactly how he painted himself into a corner with the no trade clauses, which is it's a catch-22 because you can't no trade clauses are so common in the NHL, and you almost have to offer them to get anybody to sign with you. But then when you do want to maybe move on from somebody or suggest trading somebody or whatever to free up some cap space to fix an issue elsewhere, you can't. And I think the problem is that there's just too many no trade clauses on the defensive side, on players that maybe weren't, not so much this year. Last year I'd say much more so, that weren't playing up to expectations. I think Krug's been better this year. Parayko's been far better this year. Defense, to me, generally speaking, this season has not been the issue at all. It's the horribly inconsistent offense, the bad power play, that is, and it has shot this team in the foot, and I think and has put the defense back on its heels at times. So, and the last three games, it was touched on a few times during the press conference that the last three games played a huge role in the decision to fire Berube. Armstrong said when you stack the Blues roster up against the roster of those teams, there's no way this team should have lost all three. I think we could probably all agree to that. You shouldn't lose to Columbus and Chicago. Any given Sunday, right? You can lose a game to any team in the NHL. They're professional hockey players. But to lose 3 games in a row to rosters that you probably should be beating, especially a Detroit team that is missing Larkin, missing Perron. It's like, that's a team you should beat in your own building, too.
To me, this all trickles down.
It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
I told you last night. No.
To me, this all trickles down from what happened against Vegas last week. I thought, again, it's so funny to when you listen to the show week to week. Last week's show, we were like, oh my God, they beat Vegas. They looked so good. Binnington was on a heater. Unbelievable. Then they lose the next game.
And we should have beat. We had a lead.
They should have won. But I'm sorry, you guys might disagree. To me, the turning point in the game, yes, they had a 3-1 lead. But to me, when they had when Marchessault scored on the power play, to me, Carlson, no question, 100% interfered with the goaltender before that goal was scored. He came through the crease, kicked Binnington's pad, and then passed it over to Marchessault, who put it in the empty net. To me, that is a no. I know the NHL is awful with goalie interference, but that was a no doubt goalie interference to me. Like, there is no question in my mind they take that goal off the board.
Berube
did not challenge.
I'm gonna
that. I looked at that when that happened, and I said, "Ooh, that's a bad decision, Berube. This is going to turn this game." And I think that was starting of his firing as well.
I'm going to pull it up again because I'm going to just refresh my memory on this goal because it was Marchessault's goal. Yeah. Because when I saw it, I thought it was a good no challenge, but let me pull it up here again. Let me see here.
And I will tell you right now, we might as well not argue about it because you will not change my mind.
Well, we can. No, we're going to argue about it. I thought, and let me
100% surefire that would have been.
And I thought there was contact made with the stick, not the pad. And I could be wrong with that. I'm just looking back.
Everyone was saying stick. It was pad.
No, it wasn't. I'm looking at it right now. There's no pad. Hold on. Let me see it again. They'll show it better angle this way. No, there's no pad there. He hits a stick. He kind of knocks the stick out of his hand. No, there's no pad.
Right. All right, I'm gonna watch it again now too.
I mean, he may graze his pad, but it isn't really.
But he's in the crease. You can't touch the goalie and then have them score a goal.
He brought the puck into the crease. He had possession, right, and then he passed. That was a really actually nice play.
Right, and I think that's this is
he knocked the stick out of Binnington's hand with his skate. And Binnington drops the stick, and he doesn't have the stick in his hand to try and make that blocker save on the far post. I think if that goal gets turned over, they determine that contact was made with the stick, and the stick's knocked out of his hand, and that is maybe where I think the goaltending interference comes into play. But I mean, I thought it was a good no challenge just because at the time, what was the score? We had that was the tying goal.
It was 3-2 that made it 3-3, and they had a power play. That was a power play goal.
Yeah, that made it 3-3. You're right. And
if they would have challenged, he would have gotten lost. Right. They would have gotten another power play.
Right. And yeah.
So I think,
and I know there's no way of knowing that they scored like within 30 seconds later. I know that there's no way of knowing that. But to me, you take the risk on that one. You absolutely take the risk.
Second period? No, I don't think so.
I think they're looking at it. They're looking at it holistically, right? Second period, still more than at close to half a game to go, right? And
tie game.
Goaltender interference, they probably have. I like to think that every NHL team has odds, right? Can calculate a probability of what type of goaltender interference is this? Oh, he knocked the stick out of his hand. That never gets overturned, right? Because it's sticks come loose all the time. So we're not that doesn't bode well for us. Second period, we don't want to give them back-to-back power plays and let them take over the game. I think that they're playing the odds. Is it the right thing? No. I think it should be a much more strict enforcement of goaltender interference, whether you call a penalty or just disallow the goal. Goaltender union here, there needs to be a stricter enforcement. Goalies need to be a little more protected on those kinds of plays, and it shouldn't come down to a coach's challenge.
I
agree 100%, but I'm sorry. That I challenge that 100 times out of 100.
I wouldn't have
contact in the crease.
He has the puck.
Are you kidding
he
me?
has the puck.
I don't care. You can't skate through the crease.
If you have the puck, you can. You have possession.
I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah, if you have possession, you can go. Sure, you can. Yeah,
you can't kick the goalie.
He didn't. It was. I'm not saying that there wasn't contact. There was contact with his stick, and the stick gets knocked out of Bennington's hand. That is obvious. And like I said, if it does get overturned, it's because they determined that the contact with the stick was not knocked out of his hands. But I mean, with how hard it is to get a goaltender's interference called, I mean, it's got to be so blatantly obvious. And
that was blatantly obvious.
I don't. I mean, there was contact, but I don't think they have to determine that there was contact, and the contact directly contributed to that goal going in. The goalie not being able to make the save.
I think it did. I think it did. The goalie couldn't slide as easy when he's got a skate going up against his leg.
It wasn't
pad.
against it. He didn't really hit his pad. He hit his stick.
He did.
No, he didn't.
How do you?
I'm looking at it.
The damn play.
I'm looking at it. He hits the stick.
He does. His skate kicks his fucking leg.
No, it doesn't. If it does, it grazes
yes,
it. It's not. It's not
100%.
No.
I challenge that.
The contact with the pad. If there is contact, if it grazes it. It's not egregious at all.
If the referees say it's not goal interference, I am chucking sticks on the ice, because to me that is your definition of goal.
Now, if you want to say that it was interference because the stick getting knocked out, we can. That's more realistic to me. But the pad thing, that's not getting called.
I'm fine with that
that's
too.
Not getting called.
I agree with you on that too. The stick out of the hand. I know some people said, well, Binnington's arm was outside of the crease. That doesn't matter to me. He skated through the crease and knocked the stick out of his hand. That is also goalie interference.
I don't. I'm going to look at this here. I don't think that was his hand outside the crease when
I don't think it was either. But that's what some people.
Well, go back a couple of years to Pittsburgh, right? When there was that obvious goaltender interference.
Jake Allen.
We challenged and we lost.
Was it Jake Allen?
Yeah.
I think it was. I think that one was that was top 5 egregiously worst calls in NHL history with goalie interference. I don't want to use that as a measuring stick. I think this one.
I don't. You don't use it as a measuring stick, but that's informed Berube's decisions.
I don't see where you're seeing contact with the pad. I just don't. I'm looking at it over and over again.
He does.
No.
He does. Am I wrong? Anybody in the comments?
He might graze
play.
graze the pad, but he doesn't displace the pad at all. He might touch the pad. He doesn't interfere.
You can't touch the goalie though. When he's in his crease.
But I don't think at all that any contact with the pad prohibits Bennington from making that save at all. The pad contact is so minor.
You get any contact at all, and you're trying to slide across.
You telling me that the tiniest little contact you're going to risk a penalty against? But based on the way
it wasn't the tiniest little contact.
Was
he skated through the fucking crease.
But Bennington's back under the crossbar. There's so much crease.
I don't care.
Barely touches his pad, if at all. He makes contact with the stick. Obvious.
If you want to skate along the crease on the top of it, and then you touch his pad, no problem at all.
Watching the replay
but if
right
you're
now?
Fucking right through the crease,
the
what's the point? A goddamn crease.
Are you watching the replay at all? I'm watching. I've watched like 10, 15 times. I'm trying to look for this egregious contact with the pad. I see nothing.
I want to get clarification. Jeff, am I holding a goalie pad?
Fuck off, Phil.
I mean, the contact with the stick is made. Bennington's blocker comes down. Might make contact with the blocker a little bit as he comes down with the blocker.
The baked beaker.
There's nothing.
There is
nothing.
That's
there.
not who I meant.
There's nothing there.
The baked beaver says contact with the goalie sticker pads, risk the challenge. I think with you, I don't agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
If you were to say contact with the goalie in the crease, sticker pads, risk the challenge 100%.
No.
I do that every time.
Not a chance in the world because they rarely. It has to be so egregious to be considered goalie interference. We've seen this time and time again. Everything we think is goalie interference is never called. It's not.
It was egregious. It was
No,
egregious.
it wasn't. Show me.
To me, that's definition of goalie interference.
I'm gonna share screen. We're sharing screen.
No, you're not sharing screen. We don't need to go over this.
Yeah, we can share the video.
We have spent way too much time on this.
This is important. Where's the?
You just think it's important because you want to be right.
No, I'm just.
Have you ever argued with Kurt Price before?
Let's.
Oh, of course I have.
Let's turn off the. There we go. We'll hide the. Okay, so here we go. So we've got. Where's the controls here? Let's back it up a little bit. That's after the shot. Okay. So we got. So there's the contact with the stick right there, knocks out of his hand.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And you're telling me his skate? Look right there. He's kicking the inside of his pad.
No, it isn't. That's his blocker.
That's his blocker.
No,
that's his blocker.
The blocker's on the outside of his foot. Look at where his foot is. You're telling me he's not making contact with the right foot of Bennington or the right leg of Bennington?
I'm not saying he doesn't touch the pad. I'm saying it doesn't prohibit Bennington
How
making
can
the save.
Bennington slide across
He's not even,
when he's got a guy in between his fucking
He's
legs?
not trying to slide across right now.
He will be here in a second.
But look, when he goes to move.
Now he's trying to slide across.
No contact at this point. If there's contact, he just brushes against his pad. You can't. They're not going to overturn. They're not going to call that goal interference. They never, ever,
disagree.
Ever.
100%.
Oh my God.
I will never. You will never convince.
Show me an incident
that they would not overturn that goal.
Show me a goal interference replay that's overturned based on a contact like this. It's not.
I have not done the research on it, Kurt. But tell you what, I will this fucking week. All right.
Good. We'll talk about it next week. God damn it.
God, I just want to fucking punch you.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Not really.
Over the holidays, in-person show.
I love you too much.
We'll put some.
I do love. I love our argument.
Those big ass inflatable gloves, and we'll go at it.
I love our arguments, but God damn it, I want to prove you wrong so bad.
You know what? And like I said, if we're talking stick, that's we can talk about that. But pad, no, that pad, there's nothing there for me.
Disagree.
Okay, you're wrong. Anyway.
Bill, put your damn stick down.
I'm
I
sorry,
like that,
boys.
I like that.
Sorry, boys. I like playing with my stick.
That is a beautiful stick. Why do you have a true stick? Because you haven't played since they've been a manufacturer.
Yeah, no, this was I went to the garage sale last summer, and with the hope of buying some pads, and this was all I got. So this is a John Gillies. This was one of his leftovers.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah,
Blues great of one game.
Yes. No, I've been watching a friend of the show. Oh God, I'm blanking on his name now. Kevin from Vancouver.
Oh God.
Vancouver. God, terrible.
Damn
Fire
you for
me.
putting me on the spot.
Fire me. But he does they do YouTube videos, Source for Sports, new goalie product videos. And
Kevin
Woodley. Thank you. God damn.
Yes.
Apologies, Kevin. I drool over every one of their product release videos, and they have sticks that are like featherweight at this point, and it's insane to me. As a guy that grew up wearing, pads that were held together with duct tape and sticks that were held together with duct tape and soaked up all the water. Yeah.
Knock it off, Kurt. Stop playing the damn video.
This is another angle. This is another angle.
Oh,
so let's look at it. So
we gotta move on here.
Okay, so here's
1 hour show.
Zapruder this bitch.
Here's this. Okay,
right there.
There's no. I'm not even there yet. Quit jumping the gun.
Closer. Keep going.
That's not
keep
even
going.
there.
Keep
I'm
going.
going. I'm going frame by frame. There's
right.
That is not contact.
But,
settle down.
Bullshit.
There's no
frame
contact.
by frame.
It is.
Keep going. Keep going.
That is contact there. That's contact
Jesus
there.
Christ. So
how are you not seeing that? Get some glasses.
Jeff, they are not going to call a skate kissing the pad interference. A player, listen, a player.
Bennington can make a claim that he's trying to slide there, but he's can't
not
because
trying to slide. The puck's to his left. No, hold on. Hold up.
Keep going.
I'm going. And there, now the skate is past the pad. You want to call it on that?
Keep fucking going. Oh, there's more contact with his arm.
Oh, that's
oh yeah, right there.
That's different. I'm talking pad. You're all about the pad. I'm talking pad.
I'm giving both. It's both. He's making contact with Bennington in the crease is my point. Right there, he's making contact with Bennington.
There is not contact there.
Fucking there.
There is not contact there.
Yes, there
his
is.
blocker's on the far side. His skate's in front of it.
Skate is right on his blocker. How are you not seeing that contact?
Are you telling me that you can tell that there's not 3 inches of space between his blocker and the skate, or it's touching? You cannot see that. You can't tell if his blocker is touching the skate or not.
How can you not see his blocker on top of his
It's
skate?
not on top. It's behind it. It's along the ice.
Oh my God.
It's along the ice. It's not on top of his skate.
God.
This
is why I don't talk to old people.
That, sir.
Yes.
That, sir, is a magic loogie.
Okay. Bill. All right. And then there's
Nice.
and now he's trying to move and the stick's out of his hand. Like I said, I think you got a much better case for knocking the stick out than you do for anything else.
Either way, the call isn't why is it goalie interference? It's we're calling for goalie interference. There was goalie interference.
Like I said, you're making the argument for the pad. I was making the argument, if anything, for the stick.
I'm getting so emotional and jumpy that my camera went out of focus.
Well, you're spitting all over it. All right. To be continued, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not.
I'm gonna have a video for you next week.
Good.
So all
you
this,
find the proof.
yeah,
You find the proof
this,
with contact with the pad, because
all this
we're
to
on the same
say
boat with the
that
stick.
Berube got fired for not challenging this.
Yes.
Yes. Which, I don't have a problem with not challenging this, because middle of the game, tie game, you risk a penalty against for something that's
worth the risk.
I mean, okay.
Yep.
Okay. You'd have lost that challenge.
No, I wouldn't have. I would have won it. There's no question in my mind.
I think
with goal interference, there's no question in your mind. That should never be a phrase you should say. There's always a question with goal interference.
That's one time I'm going to say.
Oh my God. I've seen so many more obvious goal interferences in this one. This is like tame compared to like 98% of them.
They might as well get rid of the damn crease then. Why have a crease if guys are just allowed to skate through it and run into the goalie?
Run in. It was, oh my gosh.
He made contact with him. You're going to say he didn't make contact
the
with
stick,
goalie?
and I'm on board with, hey, if you want to say stick,
okay,
if you want to say stick,
fine.
I'm
You're just wanting to argue sublantics at this point. I don't. Sorry, that's a movie quote.
I know,
but
I know, but I still wouldn't challenge though, because it's a crapshoot, and you risk going down in the game. You're at home. Your penalty kill is horrible at home. I wouldn't do it.
Look, this team's video challenge has been really, really effective this year. I'm taking whatever advice they're giving me, and I'm betting the advice they gave is don't challenge this one.
Well, obviously, I mean they didn't. So I mean, yeah.
So
the Big Beaver is with me in the chat. I am all yes, challenge, 100%. Do it.
Yeah,
we got to move
sitting
on.
from his living room where he doesn't get fired over the bad challenge. That would have been.
Oh well, he got fired, so maybe he should have done the challenge.
You know what? Hindsight being 2020, why not do all kinds of things differently?
So,
why not? What do you have to lose?
He should have challenged every goal.
Let let me ask you this on the subject of hindsight is 2020. Is the perfect decision in Blues history to have relieved Craig Berube of his duty and made Jim Montgomery head coach 2 seasons ago?
I mean, you can't fire Berube 2 seasons ago. I mean, shoot.
Can you not?
You're coming 2 seasons ago. You're coming off a really good season, right?
That was It was the year that we could have beaten Colorado had it not been for the Nazem Kadri bullshit.
Right.
Right. And Berube said as much in the presser today. We could have won that series if it weren't. Yeah. And the way he phrased it was if it weren't for the injuries.
Yeah.
And to all of us Blues fans, that we know what he means. We're with you, Doug.
Yeah, that was
but if you're looking at things in hindsight, that's the perfect decision, right? That is the right time to make that call because look what Jim Montgomery is doing.
100% in hindsight. Right. Like that's the key word because this to me, if the Blues would have done that, if they would have fired Berube and then gone with Montgomery, I would have had a fucking pitchfork in hand going to Enterprise Center. Like, as much as I loved Montgomery, and I even said at the time, I know he's going to get another head coaching job because he's a great coach. You don't fire Berube 2 years ago. Absolutely not.
It's a bad timing situation. I mean, if Montgomery was here last season, as an assistant coach, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I would consider it after last season.
Unfortunate timing with him being here then.
Right. But I think we can all agree that would have been the perfect decision with hindsight, right? And that's what humans don't get.
Here's where Doug Armstrong went wrong. He didn't get a fucking time machine. If he would have gotten a time machine, he would have known. Stick with Montgomery.
Well, he needs to challenge.
Oh God, don't.
He needs to challenge the go back 2 years and challenge.
Kids?
Go back and challenge.
Do you do this to your kids?
Huh? What?
Do you try to recall stuff your kids said and then come back at them like a year later? Because I feel like that's what you do
all the time. All the time.
Yeah, I know. You're like my older brother.
I have a very good memory as far as things that irk me, and I'm saving this for later. I'm gonna bring this back 10 years from now. I have a very selective memory that
we'll be at season 23, and Kurt's gonna be like, "Oh, Jeff, do you challenge this?"
There's certain moments in my life that I don't forget.
And you go take my Metamucil.
There's the Yzerman double overtime goal that I will never ever forget. How I felt, where I was, exactly what I was feeling at that time, ever for the rest of my life. Blues Cup moments, there's certain things stick with me, and then this whole challenge argument we had.
Sorry, this is totally off the beaten path here, which that's what we do on the show. You know what I've realized is one of those moments for me, and it's a weird one to say, but I know you guys are going to agree. Let's see, that would have been 2018 when the offsides ruling against Colorado in the final game. That they said that it was not offsides, and you could see white between the blue line and the puck. Do you remember that?
I thought that was
it was a final game against the Avalanche, and that's what was the game-winning goal. And the Blues ended up not making the playoffs because they lost that game.
God, I am drawing a blank on that.
Do you really not remember that?
No, I don't. I feel like I should.
Okay.
I remember Laterra's offside incident.
Oh,
taking away a goal.
Seriously, I know this is going to sound crazy. Go back to our season recap show in 2017,
sure I had thoughts about it then.
Oh my God, dude. All three of us ranted like idiots for like an hour about that. So yeah, you will remember it when I want to find, there's a picture that shows it.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to take me a minute.
You look it up.
Move on.
We'll move on. Let's see. Armstrong said there was no relief on Berube's part when he was told he was fired, because some people speculated that maybe Berube was he threw his hands up and said, "I'm done." That was why he was relieved of his duties. People were questioning the wording the Blues released, relieved of his duties and not fired, which I don't think a team is going to tweet out something that says Blues have fired, head coach Craig Berube.
Not the one guy that's won you a Stanley Cup.
No, you want to, relieved of his duties is is the friendly way to say he's been fired.
Right. Sorry, Craig, this team was shit. We're relieving you.
And he was also asked, is this a playoff roster? And he says, I think we fit in there. But he was very wishy-washy on that answer. He said those teams should be competing with many more teams aside from maybe the top 3 or 4 teams in the NHL, which is, again, different than his middle third stance prior to the season. Isn't that weird how things change?
No, but I think the teams play, right? That at one point we were a 94-point team, and now we're an 85-point team, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's changed.
Well, at 4 games.
Performance.
Right? Yeah. So if the Blues had split these last 4 games, I'm going 2-2. Obviously Berube's probably not fired. So it really comes down to the last 4 games, which is interesting. Oh, what are we going? Okay, what are we doing here? Let's get rid of the overlay.
Do you remember that? So that Avalanche player is in the offensive zone, and you can clearly see there's a little white there between his stick where the puck is, and actually that is the puck. And yeah, that was ruled not offside.
So there is a player in the zone at this point.
Yeah, he's in the zone. That guy with the puck, that is in the offensive zone.
So they're going right to left.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going left to right. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, his positioning's weird, but yeah, that was the ruling at the time.
So the puck. I mean, so you're saying you're seeing puck white between the puck and the blue line. So the puck's in the zone.
There's a little tiny bit of white there.
So the puck's in the zone.
Let's see if I can enhance here. Hang on.
Are you sure it's not left to right?
Yeah,
because if there's okay, well the puck's inside the zone though.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. No, wait. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm saying this completely incorrectly. Yeah. So it was a keep-in at the point.
Yes, okay. Gotcha.
And so they're saying it did not leave the blue line. There was not enough white to show that it left the blue line. I'm sorry. That was
you know the problem with this with the blue line here is that it's not a sharp line.
That's what they're
with the ice on top of the line, it almost has a tiny bit of gradient where it fades a little bit, and there's that half an inch or whatever it is. It's it just looks like it's not a sharp line like it is on the boards in the background there. It doesn't look that way, and I mean that sucks.
I remember seeing it live, and literally, because you guys probably do the same thing, where you'll see a play live, and it's like, oh, that's offside. Go ahead and score, other team, because it's going to be called back.
Yeah.
Like, that was how I was with this play. I remember being like, oh, there's no way he kept that in.
Were we all on board with it was offside?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I'm just trying to, I want to see a video of it and slow down and frame by frame. But yeah,
we all lost our minds over that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I completely forgot about that. I don't. It's coming back to me a little bit, but that's
crazy. Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday. I lost my fucking mind.
Doug Armstrong said he's not happy with Kairu's game as far as production goes. Big shocker there. He is happy with Thomas's game, but as far as the playoff roster goes,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
I thought Thomas was a little rough last night, but. I mean, the dude's been great all year. And I'll say, we said this, I think, 2 weeks ago, Kairu was back on his line last night. And we said, when you took Kairu off Thomas's line, all of a sudden, Thomas looked like a superstar. And again, I hate to dog Kairu, but Thomas had another, to me at least, did not look like himself last night. And Kairu was on his right wing. So to me, and I know that we've all kind of said this already, Kairu, I'm fine with continuing to play him because I think he's working out a lot of the other edges of his game, but you got to stop giving him top 6 minutes. I say drop him on that fourth line, see what he can do there.
The Baked Beaver says, we don't have a contending team. I mean, I would agree with you. Let's put that overlay back up. I would agree with you if you're talking about contending for a cup, contending for the playoffs. I think we do have a playoff contending team. on because they've shown they can play a certain way. It's just they have consistency problems. A team like the Blues, they could go either way. It's just kind of they could be a contending team for the playoffs. It's just a matter of them playing consistently enough to get a wild card spot or a third place, probably more wild card spot now at this point. But I mean, I don't know. Are we a contending team for the playoffs? I mean, obviously not the cup. You wouldn't mention the Blues as a cup contender this year, obviously. But is this team a playoff contending team?
I think we all said in the preseason predictions, or whatever you want to call it, show. I think we all said that we wouldn't be surprised to see them make the playoffs. We just all kind of said they're going to be in it until the end and then not make it. And I still think that, even with even if they went and got the greatest damn coach in the world, Mike Keenan. I'm kidding. No, I don't know. I don't know who the best coach available is right now. Maybe Bruce Boudreau, who's
Quenneville's
been
the best
good
coach available.
What's that?
Quenneville is the best coach available.
Well, to me, fuck him. He better not even be considered.
You know what?
To me, I guess
he probably is the best coach available, but you just don't want him.
For regular season success, probably Bruce Boudreau is up there too. So you got to wonder, maybe he's in the mix.
Mr. Game 7.
Yeah, right.
I can't win a game.
I don't want him because that means no playoff success as long as he's a coach.
I want nothing to do with Boudreau. Nothing.
I don't either. But I'm just saying, I think even if you went and got Bruce Boudreau, I could still see this team being exactly where I thought they were with Berube, and that's right on the outside of the playoff picture.
I think I'm with Justin Scott. They're capable. They are capable of being a playoff team this season. That's a good way to put it. They just need to be more consistent, which, teams that aren't very good have consistency problems. So that also weighs into it. I just can't say be more consistent because bad teams are not consistently good. So,
and I hate to use the old cliche, but it's very true. Bill, you know better than anyone watching the Canadiens a couple of years ago. You just get in and anything can happen. I mean, we went in with Husso a couple of years ago. Husso kind of faltered, and then Binnington just went on a goddamn heater until Kadri showed his true colors. But yeah, you really do. Like, if you just get in, and I think this team, to me, there's no way they win a Stanley Cup with this roster. But you get in the playoffs, you never know. You at least make it exciting. Maybe you make the second round. You never know.
The way you have to approach it as a fan of a team that's in the playoffs, as a 6, 7, 8 seed, whatever. It's like, you root for your team one game at a time and hope they win that game, and then worry about the next one when it comes to it. Don't be thinking, can we win the cup this year? You just win one game at a time and see how far you get. And sometimes, lower seeds go on runs. It's not that unusual. So, I'm not trying to say that the Blues are going to be that team. I'm just, like you said, Jeff, you get in the playoffs and you just see how it goes. Justin Scott is like picking my brain. I'm so damn tired of St. Louis fans hating on Parayko and Armstrong. I think, there's a lot of Parayko, so with the announcement of the Berube firing, social media, Blues fans kind of went off on the reasons why he was fired or why they think he was fired. And, people are using reasons from last year. Like the defense is god awful. Krug's terrible. Parayko's awful, and people were laughing at the fact that people were calling I think it was Korak wrote an article about Parayko being a number one defenseman again, and people were like, whatever. What games are you watching? And I'm like, we're talking about this season, where Krug has been noticeably better. He still has hiccups. He had one against Detroit where he missed that centering pass, missed something behind him. That was Fabry's goal. And, but Parayko's been good this year, really good. I mean, not perfect every game, but he's been really good. So I think people are kind of complaining. They're thinking about the team from last season, and they're just blindly assigning blame to looking for scapegoats. And, Parayko is the guy that was underachieving last season. I'm sure he's still that same guy. And because he's a higher paid defenseman, supposed to be, they'll always pick on him for not being the big, tough burly defenseman.
I like that
Parayko's
we
been great.
literally just had back-to-back comments. The Baked Beaver. Parayko has been great. Justin Scott. Parayko has been great.
Thank you. He has. He's been great.
Yeah,
and I don't how people don't see that. I mean, there are a lot of people complaining about Parayko this season. I mean, they don't know what to look for in these games.
Much earlier in the chat, trying to find it. Heavy, I think it was.
Heavy 44.
Why doesn't 55 check people? Right? He doesn't. That's not him. We've come to accept that. Parayko is an effective defenseman, and what I said earlier tonight, I will stand by. My worry for him now is fatigue.
Yeah,
he is getting played a hell of a lot, and he looked tired last night.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
We'll see how
that. I thought Krug did too. I thought Krug just. I mean,
well,
was it the game-winning goal? The pass across the crease, and he was covering the guy and clearly not covering him well enough. That was Krug from last year.
Oh, he missed him.
Fabry.
Fabry.
Yeah.
He never picked up Fabry behind him.
He was way behind on trying to pick
and
up
he missed
pass.
he missed the centering pass. Centering pass went right through Krug.
Yeah,
I agree.
But it was.
Did you see people blaming Bennington for that?
I just, what?
Sorry, Bill, go ahead. We don't need to get into that.
That was off the post and in too. I mean,
right.
What are you going to do?
It was that he can't play Bennington for that. Right?
No.
I thought it was a super smart pass by Raymond, right? He caught the Blues not expecting a pass, and he got it through Krug. If somebody's going to stop it, it's not Bennington, it's Krug. It got through. Fabry, put it off the post and in. Nothing Bennington could do there. So don't go there. It was just, a better play. And, maybe it was a sign of fatigue from Krug.
Or it was just a situation where Detroit is a high octane offensive team and they move the puck well, they're quick, and the Blues may have looked slow or tired against them because of the way Detroit plays too. So that could have been part of it.
It's a good point, but I just think, and again, because I'm not trying to dog Krug, I think that's a play Krug makes this season. Last season he doesn't make that play. This season I think that's a easy tie up the stick, pass goes across the crease, no harm done. I just think Krug last night there was a couple situations where I'm like, he does not look like the Torrey Krug we've seen this season. And Justin Falk was on the ice for that too. I think he had a chance to intercept that pass. And I think Falk he's looked tired the last 2 seasons. Personally, I thought since about November of last year, he has not looked like the same guy. I think he's getting overworked.
Let's be honest. I mean, no one's going to play a perfect season. I mean, there's going to be plays or games where players are off. It's the general play throughout the season that you should be concerned about. I mean, every defenseman's going to, I missed the puck. Missed an assignment. Puck's in the net. That happens to everybody.
Westerners?
It happens it happens to everybody. I mean, from time to time. No one's perfect. No one plays a perfect season. So the general play, as long as we're seeing consistency.
Who was it here? Okay, yeah. Justin Scott. He says, "Look how fast that giant skates, man." Talking about Colton Parayko. He carries the puck through the neutral zone with swiftness. That to me was the part of the game that we were really missing. That transition game from Colton Parayko. And the ability to get back and make sure that you're not getting caught. I think that has been the biggest revelation from Parayko's game is the fact that he's leading the offense. He's even getting in below the goal line, but he's still not getting caught. He's not taking those chances that he knows he shouldn't take. He'll go behind the goal line when he knows, unless there's just a horrible play by one of the forwards, that he's not going to get caught. He'll have time to get back to the blue line. And last year, I felt like he tried to demand too much of the play. And it was just, I got to lead the offense. I'm the guy. I'm the dude. And, now it's like, I feel like he's only taking those chances when he knows he's going to be safe to get back and then be able to make a good defensive play if the play goes the other way.
Armstrong also said during the press conference that St. Louis fans are smart. You know, he goes, they know when they're, and I thought when he said that, I'm like, well, he obviously doesn't read social media because there's a lot of stupid things being said on social media.
A famous quote. I think it was actually might have been in a movie. The person is smart. People together are stupid. And I think that plays well with this quote here.
And I think that generally speaking, St. Louis Blues fans are very good hockey fans. A really good hockey town, but you know, you get people on social media and they say stupid things, and sometimes it's the vocal minority. Generally, it is. But yeah, there was today in particular. There were a lot of dumb things being said, which we've covered some of them.
Yep.
Armstrong also said nobody in the organization is safe, which I found that interesting. As far as players, you know, and coaches.
Well, some of them are because they have no trade clauses.
Right. That's true. That's true. He said Krug is one of the most competitive guys in the roster. Parayko is playing at a more elite caliber now than last year. And he goes, our variance on a nightly basis is what's concerning. And he's not against buying players out, which I find
that is
interesting.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. You had the perfect opportunity to buy out. And hey,
Scandella.
I feel like Marco Scandella has played very well since him and Perunovic have been paired together. So I'm not gonna act like that's not going on right now. But you had a perfect opportunity to buy out Marco Scandella. There is going to be no other better opportunity in your career, Doug Armstrong, to buy out a player that you needed to buy out, and you didn't do it. Right. So
1 year left. It wasn't a ton of money. Yeah, 1 year left, wasn't a ton of money. I can see, you know, some people are saying buy out Krug. He's not, or buy out Parayko. He's not going to buy out 6 years of a contract.
No.
Or whatever. He's not going to do that's and paying a player for 12 years, 2/3 of his remaining contract. No, that's not going to happen ever.
We're not going to Bobby Bonilla somebody.
No, Bobby Bonilla or DiPietro, right?
Yeah, DiPietro.
DiPietro is like still getting money. And he's been out of the league for 10 years, whatever, longer than that. Jesus. So yeah, I mean, so in the end, Berube is no longer here, and I think a lot of people are upset about it.
I'm upset. I really think I had to.
I think he got hosed. I think he got screwed.
As dumb as it sounds, I had to spend the morning kind of soul searching on what I really felt about this. Because last night it was a shock, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" And like I read all this stuff on Twitter. And then I was like, man, I can't go to sleep. I'm going to play a video game for like an hour to get my mind off it. That's exactly what I did.
I used to do that when the Blues would play a bad game. I used to just pop on NHL whatever and just play a few games and just feel better about myself.
Yep. That's exactly what I did. I went on and played a little online NHL 23 and
probably
made
now's the
myself
time.
feel better and fell asleep.
Now's the time to probably for me to buy like a PS5 or something and just invest in NHL 23 and just
100%.
Yeah.
No, but so then I woke up this morning and I got my kid on the bus, and I usually have about 45 minutes to an hour before I really have to start work. And I literally just sat on the couch and I thought, like, how do you really feel about this? And I'm upset because I like Berube, and it's not. I know a lot of people say you're just feeling that because of the Stanley Cup win. Yeah, that's part of it, I'm sure. But I actually think,
I mean, that's a big deal.
I think that he's a good coach, though. Like, it's not just like, you know, when Joel Quenneville was let go, I loved Joel Quenneville, but I was like, oh man, I think it's kind of warranted. Like, at this point, this team is not performing the way they should. They need to get somebody else in. I didn't feel that this time.
It's not just the cup win. It's the next year they won the President. They had the best record in the league. The year after that was and Armstrong talked about this. Year after that was the COVID year, which he throws away. And the year after that, we had 110 points. He goes, it's not just the Cup year. He's had really good years here, and he did well. I mean, it just sucks that we kind of got screwed here with this the construction of the roster.
Again, like I said earlier, I do agree that this is on Armstrong. Like, and I know he said that he took some responsibility for it, as you should. I don't think this is a very good roster. Again, this is a roster that can compete for a playoff spot. But, and again, like going back to what I said when the show started, 12-13-1, and they fire their coach. If you would have told me that back in October, I've been like, you're fucking insane. That's exceeding expectations.
Are you on there's a large faction of social media Blues fans that would rather have seen Armstrong fired or instead of Berube. Are you on that train as far as the change being made to fire Armstrong instead? Like Stillman should have fired Armstrong. I'm not. Only because I want Armstrong to see this through. I want him to, whatever his plan is going forward, I want him to give him a few years to see this through and see where we are. I don't think bringing a new GM with the roster construction the way it is, all these no trade clauses and whatever it is, I don't think that's fair to him. I think you let Armstrong deal with this and try and get out of it and see where we are in a few years.
My only issue with that thought process is Armstrong has never really, as a GM, he's been through a lot. He's never really been through a rebuild and a retool. When he left Dallas, he left the cupboard fucking dry. There was nothing for Dallas for a couple years after he left.
It's not a retool anymore. Did you hear what he said? It's a refocus.
Oh God.
It's a refocus.
I didn't pick up on that. Oh,
yeah. No, yeah. I heard that. So I think that that Armstrong, I did see it. Like even the St. Louis subreddit had a thread, about Armstrong, and there were some people on there that had to have explained to them what was going on, what the discussion was about. But to me, I think Armstrong is safe as long as Tom Stillman's the owner. I think we might not see another GM as long as Tom Stillman is the majority owner of this team. I think he's just got that much comfort with Armstrong. And Armstrong's a competent manager in the NHL.
I think he's one of the best, actually.
Yeah,
he did this to himself though with this roster.
Right. He's tied his hands, but he's willing to work through it. Right. And I think to me, that's what today showed us. The presser today, he has the fire, and the desire to get this team back to a better caliber than they're showing. And I was not surprised that I heard some boos when the game was over last night, but to me, sure. It's always, you can't fire every player. So the coach is going to go. You're not going to make a GM move mid-season, especially if it's Tom Stillman deciding to get rid of the only GM he's ever known. I think he relies on Armstrong for all of the hockey decisions, and Armstrong would have to be like, "You need to fire me, bud," before he would get fired.
I got tickets on Saturday, so that should be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like.
Who's in Saturday?
Dallas.
Ooh,
that'll be interesting.
Justin Scott says Armstrong has done so many good things, so much good things. He fleeced many trades, brought a cup with Berube, and has made great decisions. He has made poor decisions also, but I can't give up on this organization. I'm right there with you. I don't. I think a lot of the, it's recency bias. I think a lot of upset fans with Armstrong in the past couple of years and the contracts and how he's handcuffed himself with the defense. If he wanted to move on from part of it, and he can't. But I think people generally forget about all the good years and the good moves he's made. No GM's perfect. Every GM's going to make some bad moves, but I think I'm generally very happy with Armstrong. Not so much with. Not so much with
lukewarm.
I'm not so much with the the situation we're in now, obviously, but I am very curious. Almost him getting fired is almost like unfinished business if you were to get fired. I know I want to see you fix this. I want to see how you work from what we have now to refocus, retool, however you want to call it, moving forward. Because there's some really good pieces on this team and some really good pieces coming up. So I'm anxious to see where we are in a few years. When with this team and whoever we get to coach this team, and where we go from there. So I'm a patient guy with this stuff. The cup victory has made me a lot more patient of a fan than I might have been 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So I think that helps this situation for me personally. I'm in no hurry to move on from this. I'll wait this out. Let's see where this goes.
I'm with the Baked Beaver here. He says this was the most questionable decision, specifically mid-season. That's where I feel, again, like I said, the thing I said earlier about the hiring assistant coaches over the summer. If you're going to make a change, do it now. I said that about Mike Yeo back in the day, by the way. I was like, you're going to make a coaching change, just do it now. And it took him months. But I will say that I for those that have listened to the show for a long time, I was on the Fire Armstrong bandwagon until he won the Cup in 2019. And I
was not.
I am starting to slowly get there again. I'm not saying I want him fired, but I do think, as you asked the question earlier, and I've been thinking about it since, I do think if it came down to Berube or Armstrong, I think I'd be more comfortable with another GM in there, just because, again, Armstrong's never really been through a rebuild, a retool, or refocus, or redesign, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. So I would feel.
You don't think that having a new GM, he'd want his own coach in there? He'd fire Berube?
Exactly, and I was going to get there.
Yeah,
the fact that when you get a new GM, typically they are looking for a reason to fire the coach because they want to get their guy in there. And you can make the case Armstrong did that with getting Ken Hitchcock as soon as he was available. So, I think that does happen. So really, when you say, would you rather it be Armstrong or Hitchcock? I think I would have been more comfortable if it would have been Armstrong and Hitchcock. Berube. I think I would have been more comfortable if it would have been Armstrong and Berube. Making a whole regime change, but this is the cards we're dealt, and it is it's 100% on Armstrong now. If he goes and hires another coach and then goes to Stillman and says, 3 months, 6 months, a year later, we got to fire this guy. I know Stillman loves Armstrong. At that point, he's got to say, dude, no, you can't fire another head coach.
I think I'll go back to what I said. I think bringing in another GM right now, you're basically putting him behind the 8 ball with the way this roster is constructed. I'm not sure what you'd expect him to do with it right now in the short term. There's not much he could do, defensively anyway.
Right. If you bring in a new GM, that signals rebuild.
Full rebuild.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone.
Well, that wants to go. I mean, you could say we're doing a full rebuild, waive your no trade clause. If you want out, we'll move you out. That might be a way to get them to waive the no trade clauses. Not. I mean, right now, I don't want Parayko to be traded. I like Parayko the way he's playing. I think he's $6 million a year. I think that's a bargain for him if he continues to play this way for the next handful of years. That's good deal. Which we thought at the time when he signed it, hey, that could be a good deal, and it is now if he continues to play this way. So I don't know. It's interesting.
At the end of the day, I don't know. We should probably wrap up the Berube talk. We are long into this show, and we have a couple other things we want to, let's just say, touch on, guys. I think we all are in agreement. We're sad to see him go. He's going to live over my shoulder forever, kissing the cup there. I just love Craig Berube. Somebody said on Twitter, Craig Berube will always be a hero in this town. Whenever he stops in, he should never pay for a drink again. I think we're all in agreement with that. Sad to see him go, but at the same time, keep chugging along, Blues. Let's see what Drew Bannister can do and see if there's another coaching change made mid-season.
Berube is going to be picked up pretty soon by somebody. It won't take very long.
No, it's an interesting thing to think about. I mean, because he's under contract for another season after this. So
this year and next year, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, for me, like, I don't know, and maybe this is just my lazy side coming out. Like, I take that whole time and just say, fuck it. Like, I'm getting paid. I'm going to sit home and watch hockey. I'm going to learn about all the teams, and when this contract's up, I'll sign a new one. But I know a lot of coaches like to get right back into it.
I believe if he were to go coach somewhere else,
the Blues would give permission.
Yeah, right. Which they would. I'm sure they would.
Oh,
but then that team. But then he wouldn't be getting paid by the Blues anymore. They would. The new team would take on that contract.
Terminates.
Right.
Yep.
So
the Blues would love it.
I was gonna say, I think Stillman would be all about that.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying somebody to do nothing. That's why they probably said relieved of your coaching duties, not fired too. He's still employed by the team. He's just not doing anything.
So I wonder if they could just be like, "Hey, since you're under payroll, you got to scout for us now."
Or be an assistant coach to somebody.
Yeah, right.
That wouldn't work out. That would be bad. Yeah, but people are speculating Ottawa, but we'll see.
We'll see. That was my pick for. My pick was Mike Sullivan of Pittsburgh. I thought he was going to be the first coach fired. Then I thought DJ Smith. So we'll see. Maybe he gets picked up by one of those teams.
The Blues traded Robert Bortuzzo, which I said seems like forever ago now, to the Islanders for a 7th-round pick. It's funny that we, waived Vrana and he cleared waivers. Apparently tried to trade him. Nothing materialized there. But we could trade Bortuzzo, but not Vrana. Isn't that weird? I guess a team. I guess depth of defense is always nice to have.
And the Islanders have some injury problems right now, so I think they needed someone, and he's going to be motivated to play, even though he doesn't have his fucking beard and hair anymore, which is odd as hell.
So weird to see him that way. Yeah.
Ugh, don't like it.
Few players in Blues history to me left it all on the ice like Bortuzzo did. You always knew what you were going to get from him. He wasn't going to be great. He was going to be a steady shot blocker, good penalty kill guy, third pairing defenseman. Big guy, not afraid to drop the gloves, stick up for his teammates. Not a great player, but just a stereotypical third line defenseman who just played the same every game.
But go back to the cup run.
Yeah.
He had a couple of goals in those playoffs.
That
were
he did.
Cut
super
to the middle.
Timely.
Woo! Cut to the middle. Was that against San Jose, right? Cut to the middle.
Yes,
Backhander, upper blocker.
Beauty.
Oh,
absolute
that thing
beauty.
Was sick. That was one of the best goals the Blues scored in that playoffs.
Yeah.
It was prettiest. Man.
Oh, yeah.
That was sweet.
Dude, sometimes it's the guys that you don't expect that'll score. Malik,
like
right?
Scandella last night.
Yeah.
I actually did conjure Malik earlier tonight when I was watching the Habs Penguins go to 12 rounds of the shootout. Like,
what's great is
the thawing of Malik.
The broadcasters, when he scored that goal, they just cracked up laughing. Wasn't it like 14 shooters deep or something at the time?
He was the last shooter.
Yeah, it was crazy long. He scored that goal and they were just cracked up.
Well, anyway, so Robert Bortuzzo, good for him. He wasn't playing here. I think it was a good trade just to get anything for him.
Yeah.
And then also the thing that we're not talking about is the fact that the Blues had 8 defensemen on this roster, 2 guys not dressed every night for the most part. That's typically not how NHL teams like to operate. They like to have 2 forwards available to make more forward changes and have 1 defenseman that could swing in and out. So the Blues didn't want to expose Tucker and Perunovich to waivers, nor did they want to expose Bortuzzo. So I
don't think Tucker's getting picked up, though. You think Tucker's getting picked up on waivers? I don't think Tucker's getting picked up on waivers. You do? I don't think so.
I think there's a possibility. I think a team might be interested in giving him a
big loss.
I agree.
To be honest.
No, I agree, but I think he's young, big, and
Yeah, given the choice of
scored the
Bortuzzo or
first goal
Tucker.
of the season for the Blues.
Yeah, given the choice of Bortuzzo or Tucker, I'll keep Tucker. He's younger.
So
he's younger.
It looks like it came down to Bortuzzo for a spot for McEachran in the lineup, right?
Well, yeah, but
on the roster.
It's a spot for a forward. And I think that
is.
was the right thing to do because you want to be able to mix and match your forward lines a little bit more than the defense because there's more of them. So I like this move. Sad to see Bortz go, but good for him getting a chance. He's going to go to the playoffs this year with the Islanders, I think. And, he might not play, but might get a spot start here or there. But, how weird is that? 2 of our Stanley Cup heroes have left this week from the St. Louis Blues.
Yep. And we talked about Vrana being on waivers, which they announced going on waivers, and it didn't happen. Speculation there might be a trade in the works. That didn't happen, so he's put on waivers again, and he actually cleared. So, and people, were like, "Oh, shouldn't have waived him," and then, but then no team wanted him, so people are like, "Wow, nobody wanted him for free." So, obviously he's not as good as some of you folks are saying. Well, it always bugs me when people say that you could have had him for free. When it's not really free, he's taking up a roster spot. You have to send somebody down off your roster or take a roster spot from somebody within your organization that currently has a spot, and you have to pay him and fit him under your cap. It's not free. I mean, you have to make moves to accommodate him.
I don't know if you guys know. I think I understand, but I don't. So Detroit kept half his salary, right? So when he goes through waivers, if another team were to pick him up, are they only picking up the salary that the Blues are paying, or are they picking up the whole salary?
Pretty sure that that Detroit's still paying half his salary wherever he's at.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it. So.
Yep. So no, and I get that because, like you said, I mean, it's a flat cap. Everyone's up against the cap. At least it's competing that would consider picking him up.
It's just not
maybe. I thought the only team that I thought might give him a shot is Chicago. Put him on a line with Bedard, see what he can do. But clearly, they're not even interested.
At least not to the point where they wanted to,
give an asset,
or give up an asset, send somebody down, put somebody through waivers themselves, whatever. They don't want to put their players at risk or whatever, or fit him under the cap, whatever issues they might have internally with acquiring Vrana. And plus, there is an issue with his, dedication too. So that's also something teams might not want to take on if they don't have to, or, whatever.
Yep.
Next up for the Blues, Thursday versus Ottawa, Saturday versus Dallas. Jeff, you said you're going to that game, and then Tuesday at Tampa Bay.
Tarasenko's return on Thursday.
Yeah,
so
that should be interesting.
I'm sure Bally Sports Midwest will make sure to not show that tribute video.
Didn't he get his tribute last year?
No, he did not. Did he not play in that game?
He thought he did.
Maybe
with the Rangers.
He did. He wouldn't give media interviews when he.
That's right.
That's what
he
it
did
was.
Play. He did play.
He did play. That's
but he
right.
Wouldn't. Yeah. You know what? I love Tarasenko's time here, but he's done some strange things for people who pay attention. It's like that rubs me the wrong way. I don't know. I love Tarasenko, but sometimes
what's a rub off mean?
What's a rub off mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of things he did here that I didn't like. I mean, a lot of people say they didn't like the way he handled the medical stuff. I disagree with that, but there was a lot of stuff in the media he did that I'm like, really, dude? That seems odd.
So rapid fire tidbits around the NHL real quick. We'll close this out before we go get off the air. David Perron got suspended for 6 games for a cross check to the head. The NHL suspended David Perron for 6 games for a retaliatory cross check while teammate and captain Dylan Larkin was lying unconscious on the ice. Play started when the Ottawa Senators' Matthew Joseph hit Larkin in the back of the head and in the face during a net front scramble during the first period Saturday. And then was immediately, almost at the same time from the opposite side, hit in the head by Ottawa's Parker Kelly and lost consciousness. I think on the replay, it looks like he lost consciousness when Kelly hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was to me.
And so, of course, Perron rightfully attacks Artem Zub.
Yeah, right. Perron just sees Larkin down.
There.
Perron just sees Larkin down. Zub, who had fallen on Larkin after the fact and had just gotten up and was like, "What's going on?" Perron just skates at him, and one of the most vicious cross checks to the side of the head, the neck of Zub. It was just like, wow. To me, and people, of course, social media is a mess. They, rightfully so, Perron. I'm like, what? Okay. One of the worst stick infractions that I've seen. I mean, I've seen a couple of plays where players like flying cross checks to the head that are in this category, but they're up there. And this is not a whole lot different to me than McSorley on Brashear. It's deadly to the head. I don't understand the difference. You don't like that, Jeff?
I agree with you that it's egregious and it's awful, and I think you should have gotten more than 6 games. I just don't know if I put it in the Brashear McSorley level.
No,
I think he went after him with every bit. I think Perron's was more malicious than McSorley's. I don't think McSorley meant to take Brashear's head off. I think McSorley was like, hey, wanted to whack him in the shoulder or the head, got him in the head, wanted to fight him. I think he was trying to get his attention. Perron wanted to kill Zub.
Right. No, in Emily Kaplan made that point at when that came across, right? That if Artem Zub doesn't get up from that, it's a 20-game suspension.
Yeah,
she said 20, maybe even 40. And which I think I'm with her on that.
Which I think is unfortunate, because I've never been the person to necessarily define how long a suspension should be based on how bad the player is hurt, because just because a player didn't get hurt serious because what you did had nothing to do with what you did. I mean, it's just
why that's taken into account, right? You know why that's taken into account?
The seriousness.
The injury. Injury's taken into account. It's written into the CBA.
Okay. Okay, but still, you can still suspend a player for as long as you want, based on how egregious you think the infraction is. You know what I mean?
I was surprised to see that Perron is actually going to appeal it.
Yeah, he's appealing it. I think that's bad.
And I think he is going to appeal it because there have been some really bad cross checks that have only gotten fines, 1 game, 2 games. But that's just the wheel of justice for the Department of Player Safety. I think they got it. Okay. I'm going to say I think they got it right here because it was a hefty suspension by their terms. I think he should have gotten more.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking
I would have given him 10,
I would have
15.
given him. I would have given him. I was going to say 12, at least 12. I said this should be double digits at least. I mean, but yeah, like you said, Jeff, based on how they done things, I've always thought the Department of Player Safety has under suspended people for what they've done.
100%.
By far, they should be doubling, tripling up these suspension times at least for some of these players. Like guys that get 2 or 3 game suspensions for some of the stuff they do, these should be 10, 12, 15 games.
Well, I hate when they pull that repeat offender shit and they're like, oh, he's a repeat offender, so we're giving him more. We're going to give him 2 games.
Oh,
if he's a repeat offender, give him 20 games.
But if he's a repeat offender, but he's not a repeat offender, if it's been like 3 years,
whatever.
Then he's not anymore. That's weird. There's like a statute of limitations that expires with the repeat offender thing. Anyway, I don't know. Bill, 6 games appropriate, not enough.
Yeah,
too much.
I was, when I saw invited for an in-person hearing, I thought 10 games. I think Perron. Maybe he had a little karma coming back to him from Joe Thornton, right? 6 games feels right to me. Veteran guy who's, he hasn't been an angel, but he hasn't been a repeat offender, right? So it feels okay to me.
You know what though? I think Perron's lucky he's not a repeat offender, because remember the flying elbow he missed against Colorado?
And that is a Perron jersey up there.
Yeah, I mean he really could have gotten suspended for if that flying elbow had connected. He missed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there have been a few plays like that with Perron. You know, he's a dirty player. He takes liberties around the net. He takes takes liberty with the goalie, extra pokes. You know, he's that kind of a player. But I was kind of surprised to hear he wasn't a repeat offender. I'm like, really? I thought he got suspended before, but I guess not. So, yeah, 6 games probably should have been more. But to appeal this, I hope they don't reduce it, because that just sets a terrible example.
It's so ridiculous to me, the appeal process, because it's going to take a couple weeks. It goes through Gary Bettman, then it goes to a neutral arbitrator, and so he'll serve his suspension by the time they have the ruling. It's just, will he get that money back? Will be the question.
Kelly Chase has leukemia. This was announced a little bit ago, but he was on the Jumbotron on Hockey Fights Cancer Night in St. Louis last game against Detroit. Did you guys see the message he did? It was on the broadcast. They actually broadcast this. Emotional, man. That was you don't like get a little lump in your throat and a little tear in your eye for what he was, and the way he said at the end of his message, he goes, "Let's win a hockey game tonight," and his voice cracked a little bit. You know, I'm like, holy shit!
Did you see his sign? His sign, it said "Every Bud E."
Yeah, and he closed out by saying, "You know, buddy, I'm not going anywhere."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, that is.
Yeah,
I mean,
Kelly Chase is going to kick leukemia's ass. That's the way I see
apparently he's had it. He's had cancer a couple times and he's beat it. It's like his 3rd bout.
I didn't
either. Someone said that and I was like, this is his 3rd bout. Really? I mean, it's not something you might share with people, but yeah. And then for the Blues to not win that game was like, oh my god. Yeah. And
well, for me, like, it's those that know me well, or maybe even just listen to the show, I lost my dad to leukemia in 2015, who was one of his fucking favorite players of all time, Kelly Chase. He loved Kelly. And so to see him battling this now, it's just like, dude, leukemia doesn't stand a fucking chance. Like, you are going to beat this, and you're going to come out on top, and we're all going to talk about how, hey, remember that time Kelly Chase had leukemia? Like, I just, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to fucking come out on top here.
Does it I've noticed that with certain theme nights, with the military night and Hockey Fights Cancer, the broadcast stays with, there's a ceremony before the game. They do certain things. They broadcast it all. The broadcasters talk about it. They put stuff on the screen. It's all televised. They did that for the military night. They did it for Hockey Fights Cancer. Other theme nights, you don't hear a damn thing about. And that kind of, why pick and choose? You know, and I'm not going to point out which theme nights didn't get what, but I haven't heard this for any other theme night. There have been other ones. Now, I'm not talking about, wrestling night. It'll be fun. It'd be fun to have a whole wrestling,
well, they got the Riz Show night too.
Yeah. Every time there's a theme night, put that shit up. Do a little a presentation on the screen, something fun, and televise that and have the announcers talking about it. Sometimes there's a theme night and they don't even talk about it on the broadcast at all. Like they didn't, Pride Night, I don't think they mentioned anything. I don't think they
so you're talking about the broadcast in specific, right?
Broadcast, yeah, and what they do in game before the game starts. They had a presentation, guys speaking on camera on the Jumbotron.
The reason you saw it on the broadcast last night was because it wasn't fucking Bally Sports covering the game. It was ESPN.
What I mean is that generally speaking, I don't think they do a big presentation for the other theme nights.
I want to say Ari's mom did a speech either last year or the year before.
No.
I think they have done stuff like this.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about for Hockey Fights Cancer. I'm talking about for other theme nights this season.
Oh,
since like Star Wars night, just have fun with it. Put it on the broadcast. Put it on the Jumbotron. Have a presentation. Put it on the air, just like they do for the Hockey Fights Cancer. I know it's a more serious topic, but there's no reason why you can't do this for other theme nights too.
Yeah, but it was a national broadcast. It's an NHL initiative, and the
Is it
Blues
though?
led it.
Oh,
It is.
yes,
It
yes.
is.
I
It
know.
is. Right. Right. And the Blues led the game with Chris Zimmerman, who lost his wife to pancreatic cancer earlier this year. So it was closer to home for the business leader of this team. So I think it makes sense. But yeah.
No, I'm not, and I am totally on board with spending time on this. I just think that it'd be nice and fun if they would just do this for every theme night, not just pick and choose a couple to do on the broadcast. Even though it's ESPN versus Bally's, and Bally's with their heads up their asses, it's a fucking local thing. They should be more inclined to do that than ESPN. Brady Tkachuk goes after a goalie. Hurricanes goalie. How do you say his name? Piotr.
It is Piotr, right?
Kochetkov made a dive. If you've seen this, I made a diving poke check on a penalty shot late in the third period. I think the Senators were trailing 4-1 at this time. Takes out Tkachuk's skates and he falls and slides into the boards and made the save. Tkachuk was not happy. Wanted to get up and fight Kochetkov.
Has there? I'm actually asking. Has there ever been a fight on a penalty shot before?
I don't know. Maybe an old timers game for fun. But yeah, I was like, I have no problems with this. This aggressive save by the goalie. I know Bill, being a goalie, I mean, what? See, this is interesting. Me being a forward, I have no problem with the goalie diving out and taking out.
You do whatever you do to get in front of the puck.
Sure. Take the puck and poke check.
Ask your cousin about the time I did that to one of my own team in pregame warmups.
Yeah. Oh.
You came out. You did a diving poke check in warmups
and made a guy do a flip.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Did he want to fight you?
Probably, but I didn't pay him any attention.
You don't fight your own goalie. My God, that's bad juju.
Oh, I was.
Why would you do a diving poke check in warmups? Is the best question.
Why is
I was a dick in high school.
You got to practice those too. You got to practice diving poke check.
That's incredible. God, I would kill to see a goalie do that in warmups.
Not my proudest moment.
That's funny. No, I will say that when I saw this, my first thought was, holy shit, Tkachuk, stop being a bitch, man. He stopped the puck. But I will say, watching it in slow motion,
there was contact with the pad.
It didn't look like he actually tried to play the puck. It looked like he was trying to trip Tkachuk.
I think he was just trying to take away everything low.
Mm-hmm.
I just plays big low, maybe.
What's your ruling, Bill? You think they should have redone the penalty shot or anything like that, or are you okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
I am too. I'm like, that's if you're Tkachuk, think quicker and flip it over the goalie.
Right. End of the day,
but that's the thing. We're gonna see that by the end of the season, whether in the NHL or the AHL, somebody's gonna try the same bullshit, and the player's gonna be smarter than the goalie and score.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm with you guys. I think at the end of the day, the goalie, as long as he's not coming out and punching the player in the face, he just is doing whatever he can to try and take up the net, not allow a goal because you're not allowed a rebound chance. I'm okay with it, but I see why Tkachuk was pissed. But I think he went a little overboard.
Yeah, I mean, as a forward, I'd be pissed too. But I'd be mad, but also be like, God damn it, he got me. I'd be pissed at myself more than anything.
Right. I'd be like, man, he came out and dove out like that. All I can do is hold on to the puck and then wrap around him and I have an empty net.
Or just, if you have your head up, just chip it over the goalie. You can chip. I mean, you're a professional hockey player. Chip it up in the air. I mean, that'd be a fantastic play. Quick thinking, but still.
No, I think it's more likely he wraps around his leg pad and puts it in empty net. But either way, yeah, I think that was part of it, Kurt. I really do. I think he was kind of pissed, like, fuck, man, he just made me look like an idiot.
Yeah, I think it's embarrassment. He took him out and didn't even get a chance to shoot it, really. So,
oh, the baked beaver. You know what? And right at the end of the show, you get comment of the show. There was contact. Challenge the call. Nice, very nice.
Oh well. Anything else, boys?
No, this
because we're going to wrap up the show. It's a long show. So we're going to wrap her up.
Good luck editing tomorrow, Kurt.
Yeah. That'll wrap up episode 10 of season 13 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast. Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Don't forget to check out our sponsors. rockinthatidealife@gmail.com. Email Dustin, and he'll give you 10% off by just telling Let's Go Blues Radio sent you, and by Realtor Mike Burgoyne. Give Mike a call today at 314-753-4060 for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's 314-753-4060. For Jeff Ponder, Bill Day, Austin Lynch, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone. Thanks for everything, Craig Berube. Let's go Blues.
Thanks, Chief.
Love you, Chief. Let's go Blues.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?